6, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, I can't do that shit. And I don't never vote, cause I'm fucking broke. And either way, I know the police ain't gon' leave me alone. On a plane, about to visit Glen Rock. Need crypto, told me I should bring the Glock with me. So I packed up my piece and I'm sliding. Cause we might get caught up in a riot. Middle finger Trump, middle finger Biden. Fuck a left, fuck a right, is you riding? Know you love to see it, dudes rocking. Ain't no politics, baby, we just talking. From the birds to the bricks, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. Who you with?
Okay, during this time when we both have a lot of free time, I want to tackle some of these Titanic level episodes. I don't mean about Titanic, though. I guess that's not off the table. But we're covering William Friedkin today, much like John Cassavetes not long ago. We picked 3 films and we're talking about his life. But a little bit of a wrinkle. Kurt, our guest, and myself, we went through the very entertaining audiobook of William Friedkin's autobiography, read by the man himself. So we'll be referencing that a lot. I highly suggest, if you want a good use of an Audible credit, check that out because it's fantastic. But first off, fly, Eagles, fly, Kurt.
No, it feels so good. I mean, I never had any doubt. I was in Zen mode the whole week. That whole season, I was always saying it's rigged. Like the Chiefs always win on the weirdest fluky thing at the end of the game. They're winning close games that they really shouldn't be winning, and then they beat the Bills on that fluky first down. And I was like, no, it's. Once I knew the Eagles were in, I was like, nah, this is not rigged. It's just just happens sometimes. Because everyone wanted to take the Chiefs because it was like the foregone conclusion. But no, I never doubted it. All those wins were earned.
Oh no, 1,000%, and you could tell from the first snap that that's what was going to happen. Like it was just a dominant thing. The thing is like myself, it was more so like you've been burned so many times saying, like for instance, the first year the Chiefs played the Eagles, like you're just like, no, they're better, so they're going to win. But then you're like, no, it always just feels like the Chiefs make you play this like 5% worse than they do anytime you play them, and then they get every coin flip is like 95% their way. So you're just like, that's kind of like what wins Super Bowls a lot of times. But the other thing that wins Super Bowls is having 8 defensive linemen that can rush without blitzing. And that's exactly what won the Super Bowl, plus white excellence corner, Cooper DeJean, one of the most iconic plays in Philadelphia history.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Amazing. Everyone's talking about Saquon's but it was Cooper's birthday too.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. The Chiefs are like the Democrats, where they weren't like that good of a team all year, and they just kind of hobbled their way in. I think it's just like a last gasp kind of a thing, and the Eagles just stomped on the neck basically, which is tight. And Jalen Hurts just audibling he was
incredible.
He was
incredible. Everybody knows we're in a sports chat together. I don't hate Jalen Hurts. It's really fun to make fun of him though, and I will take the year off. No, I will give him 1 calendar year of not making fun of Jalen Hurts anymore. And he's earned it. He's no longer Jalen Squirts. Yeah, I'll give him a year. I'm still back on the shelf because that nickname's too funny. He's the man. So
Squirts 0.0.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yes, we are here. There's much to discuss. William Friedkin. We'll get into him here in a second, but you'll notice, look, you'll never pick 3 movies that everybody wants you to pick, especially with his catalog. But I wanted to pick 3 movies that maybe aren't discussed all the time, though one of these is now back in the discourse because of Amazon Prime. But we're leaving off I have no qualms with anybody mentioning any of these movies, but we've covered Sorcerer, we've covered Bug, and The Exorcist. Everybody and their mothers covered it, and so those aren't like the main 3 that we picked. We are picking an early an 80s, middle of his career 80s, and then a late career movie to kind of talk about the life and maybe see some similarities between these movies, or similarities in style, progressions, regressions perhaps. But we are picking The French Connection, To Live and Die in LA, and Killer Joe, which really excited to talk Killer Joe. But Kurt, to just kick us off here, because you are like, I'm a huge Friedkin fan. I have him in my top 5 for sure of all directors. But like, you've always been to me like the biggest Friedkin head.
I love Friedkin. Like, he's done it all. Like, I even like Good Time, the comedy with Cher and Sonny Bono. We'll get into that one. But I actually haven't seen Bug though. That's one I have to see.
Oh man,
talked about.
You haven't seen Bug?
No, there's a few that I haven't seen.
Oh.
Bug. I haven't seen Rules of Engagement.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's a good one too. That's a very boomer, like watch it with your dad, like, and grandpa or something. Like all the men in your family can just gather around and watch that on like TNT on like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's like it's one of those movies.
It sounds like it'd be tight. I mean, it was called someone called it the most racist movie ever. So like that's.
And it's just like normal. It's just like a guy going ha la 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 and like blowing something up. Like that's like the most racist movie ever. You're like, oh, I see what they're saying. It's fine. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not one that you're ever gonna elevate to his top, but like he was. We'll talk about it, but he was like dying for a hit during that time too. Like, I mean, kind of, but just for his reputation, he didn't need to financially because he married a studio executive that had a bunch of money. But at the time, he kind of needed like a normie mainstream hit movie, and that it served as such. But no, talk about it. Your genesis. I mean, when did you first hear about him? What was the first time you knew you were watching a Friedkin movie? You know, and just saw his style at play.
Honestly, it started with that video of him with Nick Refn.
It rules.
Yeah. Oh man. Once I saw that, I was like, oh, I got it. Because I was a Nick Refn fan, big Nick Refn fan. Then now he's claiming to be the young William Friedkin. So I was like, I mean, you like see some of these things when you're like, I saw Blue Chips when I was a kid. You see like Exorcist Young and French Connection. I didn't even know that was him, but
right.
But yeah, once you like put it to like walk back from that, then like you see some of the deep cuts that are still like really good, like not the Boys in the Band, like that's good, tight. And Cruising, of course, like that's I think that's probably his best.
Cruising might be the GOAT. I was kind of we'll have to talk about it a little bit.
Oh yeah, we'll
it might be the GOAT. Yeah, there's like literally maybe one of the best TPN episodes ever is on Cruising, so I didn't want to like just do one full one on it, but like that one is incredible, paired with a great fragrance too, Antaeus.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, and I wear that, and it's it's a great fragrance. But you're right. Like I was the same way with I watched Jade, but Jade sucks, honestly.
No, I love Jade.
It's not good.
Oh man,
it's not good. It's terrible. I try, dude. I have every reason to like it. Like it's San Francisco crime, this just bullshit David Caruso CSI nonsense, like where he's
Linda
like
Fiorentino's hot.
Yeah, but she does a movie she does a way better movie the year before though, like The Last Seduction, I think. So it's like that movie's way better. I don't know. It's not. Hey, some people there are people who really like that movie, but I hate to say it, but I think the tomato meter got it right. I don't think it's very good.
I think the Chase and Jade is the best chase that he's done.
It is. That's the only good.
I think
part
that's
of the
the
movie.
best one. Like I like the verticality of that with like the San Francisco. It's like
Dude,
perfect.
Oh yeah, no, and it's a testament to Bullet, which was like really influential to him.
Yeah,
it's a total homage to Bullet with instead, but being more fucked up and twisted because it's William Friedkin mowing down a prostitute in the middle of the street. That is but we're highlighting these three films today, but the autobiography, like I said, is fantastic. So I just kind of want to start. I don't know about you, Kurt, but like the beginning of it, I don't really care about his early life that much. I don't know. I was like, it's kind of interesting, but you feel like he's a guy that like got all. He was a documentarian at first, and he was making a People versus Paul Crump documentary about. This part is very funny though, where he goes at length to make a movie that he thinks is going to exonerate or has the chance to exonerate a man accused of pretty violent murder. And he's on death row. It turns out it doesn't happen, but like later, William Friedkin's like, yeah, that guy was guilty as fuck. Like, oh my God, like what was I thinking back then? But his real, well, you could talk to this if there's anything from his early life that sticks out, but he might have not invented, but he might have helped popularize NFL films, which a lot of people don't know about this.
Yeah, I'll just add the Paul Crump thing. Like he got him out of jail, and then like he eventually committed another violent crime and went back. Like
that's right. Yeah, he did get him out, and he's just like, damn, man, Paul Crump might have been a bad guy. Like it's pretty funny when he's his book, because he's such a like Friedkin is such a football coach of a guy, or like basketball coach would be a more apt term, but he is like such a sports guy. It feels like he's like the John Gruden of film, kind of like where he can just like bust your balls, but you want to listen to every word that he says. He's very funny. and he's very artful, but you can almost see it's almost like his idea of making a great film is like punching someone in the fucking mouth, and like being physical, winning at the line of scrimmage. It feels like that's like what he's trying to do in his films. And that's why it's so great that him, and I believe it was the director of photography from Chinatown and other films, these guys were like shooting Cleveland Browns training camp in the 60s and like 49ers preseason games and stuff. And like the NFL was like, oh, we don't really want to let these guys in, because obviously these guys aren't famous yet. So it's not even like you're rejecting them as they are. You're rejecting them as up and coming guys. But Pete Rozelle, the commissioner, fuck Pete Rozelle, by the way, Al Davis sued him, so fuck him. And but he was like, well, we have a contract with CBS. And Friedkin's like, yeah, but we can get you, we're talking NFL pre-merger, I think, at the time. It's not that popular of a sport. It's nothing. Baseball is just 10 times more than it. And he's just basically, you can see, I think they're still on YouTube, some archive footage that when you watch NFL films, not everyone does this, but when you watch NFL films, that kind of like Roman gladiator, like close up breath in the snow, linemen staring at each other, and you have the side angle of like the line of scrimmage, like you're spotting the ball, like that. According to Friedkin, that came from him.
Yeah, I think the full thing is on YouTube. It's called like Mayhem on a Sunday afternoon, and like you said, it was like a preseason game, so they just like had to make it interesting. And I'm pretty sure that's how he met Jim Brown too, who's like later in Cruising.
Yep. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, and a lot of his stuff, it's fun to listen to some of that early life stuff, because you think about like what came into play later. His first, he had made a couple little like documentaries, nothing that he was super proud of, but you can tell it's all canon for him and all just a learning experience. His first film is, like you said, is a Good Time, which is the Sonny and Cher movie, which oddly enough, nobody would expect that. He has really funny stories about Sonny Bono being this like virtuoso genius who wasn't really like musically talented, but knew melodies really well, and Cher just like walking around the house aimlessly.
That's the house that they lived in too, like the one in the movie.
Yeah,
and it looks cool. Have you seen that movie?
I have not seen that movie.
It's not great, but it's because it's like of its time. It looks like it's just a cool time capsule of the late 60s and I guess Sonny and Cher's life.
Yeah, and they're kind of like they're losing the battle to like rock bands like the Stones and Beatles and all of that, and they were kind of trying to make a movie to prolong their career as Sonny and Cher, and they ended up, there's all these stories of them just like getting like blackout drunk off of Friedkin always says throughout the films that he's not, or throughout the book, that he's not much of a drinker, but there's always these stories of him just being hammered with just random people. Like, it's funny what like that generation of people consider a drinker. Like, you have to be John Cassavetes to be like a drinker. You have to be like getting cirrhosis of the liver. But everybody else is like, oh yeah, I'll just pound like 10 drinks at a seafood bar. It's no problem, and it's really funny. And him and Sonny and Cher just being this kind of like Stepford wife, young woman with like a Stepford wife brain, just walking around the house, making one-word comments that don't seem to really matter. And then Sonny and William Friedkin manning it down, holding it down, and then the movie doesn't really do that well, I don't think, and which is kind of a theme in Friedkin's career, sadly. Not the best box office guy, but you can tell he enjoyed his time on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a school project where like you kind of run out of ideas, so it's like the movie's about making a movie, so like that's kind of it's like a really early thing for someone, and it is what it is. It's fun.
If you're a Cher fan, it's canon though, right?
Yeah, I'm not like I like Cher, but I'm not like the biggest Cher guy.
I would assume, but and to anybody, I feel like if you like Sonny and Cher, I feel like it's a like my mom's a big Sonny and Cher fan back in the day. I mean, every girl was of that time period, and she's seen it, and she was like, yeah, it's like not good, but you're happy that it exists as a fan of them, I'm not sure what comes after that. Is it the
it starts doing the play adaptations, the birthday party.
The Harold Pinter story, where again, another movie that didn't do well. Harold Pinter was, talk of the town at the time. So, Friedkin's getting in with him, adapts the birthday party. I haven't seen that. Have you?
No, I've not.
No, I haven't either. I don't really want. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't say I don't want to, but it's not on the list of something I'm going to see. Boys in the Band though is kind of a major one. William Friedkin, you wouldn't think it, but a pioneer in queer cinema.
No, yeah, I mean,
like literally, he made the first like gay play movie. Like and that movie is not like nudge nudge, two men living in a house together, divorced, gay, like, or not even like Tennessee Williams, nudge nudge, like Paul Newman's gay, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. If you know, you know. They're gay in Boys in the Band. They're like openly gay. Even the straight one is DL. And that is a good movie. I didn't rewatch it for this go around, but I have seen it, and it is fun. And if you like, it's very zany, like snappy lines, quick talking, but it is good. It is good. I highly recommend that to anybody who's especially into like stage play. He got all the actors from there. They wanted them to say like, well, you got to use the actors for this play, and he's like, yeah, it's no problem whatsoever. And that movie I don't think did super well at the box office, and there was a lot of pushback. I mean, this isn't like the piped in Atlanta Falcons crowd noise of nowadays, where it's like, we're making a gay movie and conservatives are mad. Like back then it was like, no, there's actually church groups that are like trying to stop this movie from coming out. And it's a bit different, and it's worth highlighting that you have to, are you actually making something transgressive if you have to like make up your own enemy, like, and he didn't at the time. And it doesn't do well, but I think it got a lot of respect, and I think he viewed it as kind of a net positive, but he needed a hit.
Yeah, because that was also after the movie that he made with Norman Mailer, The Night They Raided Minsky's.
That was
even bigger flop. Like that was kind of, I think, like the way that he was talking about in the studio, in the book, the studios like had a lot of involvement, and like he sees himself as a working director.
Yeah.
And not like, he specifically doesn't agree with the auteur theory, which I have thoughts on why he wouldn't, but it's hard to be a working director if you're going like miss after miss after miss, especially like box office wise, even if they're good, like, because he also did a little bit of TV work with the Hitchcock.
Yeah, that's thank you for bringing that up. That is an important point that comes into play later. Hitchcock used to have his kind of TV series. Hitchcock was just the man, so he would have his kind of, I don't think it was Twilight Zone-y. I haven't seen it before, but it was kind of like an hour that he would get on TV, and there would be kind of like movie style TV show, kind of hour long, really well produced stuff. And Friedkin gets tapped to direct one of them. There's a funny run in with Hitchcock where it's like any young director is like, oh my God, today's the day I'm meeting Alfred Hitchcock. But Friedkin didn't wear like suits on the set. He was kind of like wearing either athletic gear or just t-shirts and stuff, and just looked like he was trying to be comfortable while doing his job. And Alfred Hitchcock's just like, who the fuck's this guy just wearing like a shirt on my set? Just old school guy. Kind of big timing him, kind of not really liking him that much. But Hitchcock did not make any final cuts, did not like re-edit his picture at all, which apparently he was notorious for doing on that series. He would get the final touch of it and just go hack people's stuff to death, whether in the good way or a bad way. But it was kind of like he didn't do anything to Friedkin's film, Friedkin's episode on there. So I mean, that has to feel pretty sick if you're a young director, despite getting big time by the guy. He did sit down and watch your work and kind of just, even if he had notes, it wasn't worth changing.
They're pretty mad at him too, because like I guess he had some shot that was a little. It was just way out there for a TV shot. Like they're like, he made the I guess like the pulleys and like the set hands arrive like really early to just be able to get this shot off on time.
Right. TV's different too, right? Because TV, this is assembly line. We need one every day. It's like we don't have a day to dedicate to one shot, whereas even in film, you kind of don't either, but you can push your luck a little bit. And kind of tell the studio to F off, which I guess that's what Friedkin did for a lot of his career. But like you said, I think the story was, it was a very, well-respected guy who worked a lot, his the cinematographer. And he's just like, the guy's like, hey, if we just shoot it this way, we'll get it done in like an hour, you know, and Friedkin's like, that's not my concern, is getting it done in an hour. He's like, well, that's how this works, so it should be your concern. Friedkin goes, no, let's do it my way. And people are just like, dude, did we really spend like all day? I mean, you're talking about lights running, paying union men, like all this. It's not, I get you understand it from the studio executives. Like there's a lot of people that like to say, put a middle finger up to those people, but they have a budget to work with, and it's tough for them to say, yeah, that was worth it, when the average person at home, like a couple, you know, brandies deep, is just like, doesn't know the difference between the two shots.
No. Also, Friedkin had I don't remember if it was in the audiobook or if it was in like an interview, but he gets a line from Hitchcock where Hitchcock said, "Our directors wear ties."
Yes, they didn't like he was
in
wearing
the
the
accent.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't like the suit at all. He didn't like the lack of, he didn't like it was just kind of a old Hollywood versus new Hollywood preview, basically, you know. And so yeah, that later Friedkin would win an Oscar, and Hitchcock would see him in the crowd, and it was kind of like a, like he knew, and it was, I've arrived, and it was kind of like it's very sports. A lot of this stuff is very sports, which I really like. We're going to get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode. So that brings us up to the French Connection, right? I'm not missing anything before the French Connection. French Connection is
after Poison.
So it's based off of a true event, and this is about, a big drug bust, 2 New York cops that would end up becoming very famous New York cops because of this. They wrote a book about it. It involves a lot more government agencies, a lot more. They shrink it down to just like the police department trying to stop this, plus maybe some superiors. And it's the first big Friedkin movie. Now you'll notice the documentary style doesn't go away quite just yet. His documentary style is back, is still there. There's a lot of scenes that you may think like, did they really, like, they might have just like walked into that bar and started filming. And that's correct. A lot of times they did. A lot of the traffic scenes are just like real traffic. It's people that are actually pissed off, people that are trying to get somewhere. And it'd be funny if you saw yourself like chimping out in the French Connection, like, 20 years later, if that was like you and you're like, fuck, that was what that was. And I'll open it up. Sorry, what did you think? This is your first time seeing this?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the exactly what you said, all the organic feel of it, because it seems like that's how you had to make a movie back then, especially like one like this, more and the intro bar scene with all the black dudes and the chase scene was super cool. And that dude's book, he's like Jameer Gibbs, dude. He's so fast, and it's crazy, dude. Yeah. And Sal, right? He looks like a young Nassim Taleb or whatever. The internet.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, it's
funny story about him too. He's the wrong actor. So I heard it was like Friedkin was a big friend. He was really influenced like every director of the French films of that time, and was like, we need to bring this to America and make them make them gritty and American in the same way. And he had this casting guy that he had been working with for a long time, and he was like, hey, do you know that guy from, I forget what movie it was, but it was like, do you know that guy from this movie? And he's like, yeah, that's so and so. He goes, can you get him? He's like, yeah, he's available. Perfect. The guy shows up, and it's just like the other guy from that movie, and he's like, fuck. And which it worked out because the other guy didn't speak English at all. and it would have been like it wouldn't have worked. So he said it was, and the guy ended up being fantastic, I thought, as the Frenchman. Those great scenes of the French guy just like buying like flowers and kind of throwing them off the trail only to get on the subway and run away. But famously, this is Gene Hackman's first leading role. Unless I'm missing something here, but Friedkin talks about hiring him for $25,000. Didn't want him. He did not want him. It took him years to admit that it's even a good performance, which is crazy because he's fantastic in it. But Gene Hackman, there's Popeye Doyle, which I forget the guy's real name that he's based off of, but the guy was like known to just be like a racist cop. He was a New York cop in the 70s. You're going to be for sure drop spam in the hard R. But it was funny because Gene Hackman, I didn't know this about Gene Hackman, but he is an actor. He was like, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it. Like, can I just say like, the other word,
the Leonardo DiCaprio, the Leo,
which is what I will say about Gene Hackman. He looks like a guy who says it regularly. Like, you just look at Gene Hackman, he looks like a guy when it's like 3rd and 6, and like the wide receiver like has the first down and then like tries to make somebody miss and goes like 2 yards backwards, and then it's like 4th and 2. He's saying it, and it looks like that's the case. And I'm like, dude, you have a face like you're gonna get hired for like hard ass like kind of racist guys, and he did for a lot of his career. They're not necessarily like hardcore racist guys, but like Crimson Tide, Gene Hackman, many I think Absolute Power too. I think he's in that, right? Yeah, he's just. I mean, he launched a great career, but Friedkin was just like, this guy is not who I want. But I don't have a high. But I think the movie's about $1 million. Was just like $1 million on the nose. I think the budget, which that's not chump change for back then, but it's definitely not a lot. Roy Scheider was another guy he was able to get. This is the kind of genesis of Roy Scheider's career too. I know he had done some stage work and some small roles, but really good classic cop dynamic of the straight-laced Roy Scheider, kind of straight-laced, and then the Gene Hackman Popeye Doyle character who he constantly has to wake up. He's got, those scenes where Gene Hackman's like the Gene Hackman wakes up handcuffed in his bed once in there, Popeye Doyle. And there's a scene right before it where he's just like stalking women in his car and like, it's like this redhead chick. And he just like, he goes home with her, and that he would do like fake arrests on chicks and just smash, which I mean, everyone's like, oh, I'm like, well, it looks like it worked. It's better than going to jail, right? It's implied that happens, and Roy Scheider is always there, hair like perfectly done to get him back to work, and I love their dynamic in it. I love that they're on the clock at all times too, like that great bar scene at the beginning where they go and they just see the dude just spending cash everywhere, and he's like, what? And they're just like drinking at the bar. They're really trying to horse, but they're just like, nah, punch the clock, dude. Let's go get this guy. So Kurt, what's your experience with this movie?
I mean, it's like, it's a pretty perfect movie. Like the Friedkin like documentary style works so well with it, just because it is like, it's based on a true story. Like, these are real, like, I mean, they're Sonny Grosso and Eddie something. And Charnier is like a real guy that he literally fought alongside Charles de Gaulle at one point. Like,
and we're doing Day of the Jackal, Game of Fiction. That's Charles de Gaulle, the plot to assassinate Charles de Gaulle. So that's great.
Oh, really?
It's Charles de Gaulle just like all over the 70s, like, book and movie and but anyways, go on.
Yeah, no, like after he left, like he got out of the end arrest scene. Like he went back to France. Like they would refuse to extradite him because he literally fought alongside Charles de Gaulle. Like, what are you gonna do? It's like his style with like that story. It's so perfect. Like, it's so gritty. The chase scene. It's not my favorite of all the Friedkin chase scenes, but it's like the intensity of it's so real. Like the fact that they shut down the train to shoot that. And like they had to like hire, I guess I think he was like an MTA employee, and like they'd like negotiate with him and like basically pay for him to like move from America to Jamaica. I think it was Jamaica, because he was gonna lose his job, so they can like use the train for the scene. Like everything came together so perfectly for this movie. Like just stuff that he put himself and like everyone else at risk, like, to make that chase scene. Like it's unbelievable.
And the gunshots, gunshots, the studio, he's one of those guys where they're like, hey Bill, I know it's time for like sound editing time, we have all these classic studio gunshot things. He's like, those are gay. Like pew, like those are done, like it's not a Western, you know what I mean, we're not doing that. They would go to the shooting range with like real guns and record like boom, and you hear them. Like it's all Friedkin movies, the gunshots are crazy. Like Michael Mann is like the other style where you hear like Michael Mann's gunshots in Heat, where you're like, whoa, those, like you really like feel them in your chest. They're nuts. And this movie, as great as it looks and stuff, was a complete mess to make. Like again, Friedkin doesn't sound like he's confident at any point when making the movie, and he's coming off of what, 3 or 4 bombs in a row, no commercial success. He doesn't been down so long, it looks like up to him. Like he just doesn't know he doesn't know if what he wants to do is ever going to work in a mainstream fashion. And it's different, right? Like I think that about our show sometimes. I'm always just like, I love what we do. Is there going to be a mass audience that like loves and supports it? Like just a massive audience? Like I hope so, and I think so. But it's different when you require money from people for future projects. You really have to have that audience that goes to see every movie that you make. It's not just letting the chips fall where they may. It's like you only get a few amount of chances. And he's not like a nepotism guy either. Like he had, some friends in the industry and stuff, but it wasn't like, but this is so-and-so's son, so, we'll give him another shot. And if the French Connection didn't work, The Exorcist doesn't happen. So there's just no chance that it does, especially when you see about how much The Exorcist cost, how long it took. You are not getting that leash if the French Connection does not get the Oscar. All right. If he doesn't become he got Best Director for it, or did they win Best Picture?
It won Best Picture.
It won Best Picture in a loaded year. I mean, he got imposter syndrome from it. Like he legitimately was like, I don't feel like I should. Like it's not that he doesn't feel like his picture was fantastic. He was just like, he was talking about being at the Oscars and seeing like an old Charlie Chaplin come out for like an event and everyone just like losing their mind. He's like, it's Charlie Chaplin. Are you kidding me? Like, this is incredible. And he's like, people are going to do that about me. Like I just made one movie that I didn't even think was going to be amazing. And just at no point did it flow smoothly in making the film. And like in the editing process, they had this guy, I cannot remember his name. There's a lot of these like random names that pop up at studio executives. But one guy was like just a guy who film editor, just when you had a young director, you'd have this guy come in and give notes. He said there were people falling asleep during the French Connection. There was like you're just looking around, and you see guys falling asleep. You see some people just not paying attention, some people writing notes and stuff. And he's just like, fuck. And it's a really, I can imagine that being a grueling process. Just watching your movie with someone else and with guys that don't have to blow smoke up your ass at all. In fact, it's better if they don't. And one guy was making all these notes, but Friedkin noticed, he's like, you weren't really paying attention watching the movie, which can sound like a cope, right? Like you don't want to listen to what somebody's saying. But they didn't make any of the changes. They showed it again, and the guy was like, "It's great." So he's like, no. "Okay." So he called your bluff. I called your bluff. You're horseshit. And and that's like Friedkin in a nutshell. Is like, I can tell when you're trying to help me and when you're trying to tear me down. And that's such a great skill for people to have. And some could say he did that to a fault. He has certain interactions with people that he doesn't, necessarily love. Like I think he didn't love the way he felt about Gene Hackman when he would talk about him later, and obviously objectively Gene Hackman had a great career, so he seemed to be wrong in that chance, but he wins for it, and it's a great success story. The rest of the 70s, the films kind of are like this in a sense, with these kind of morally ambiguous endings, kind of not depicting cops as they are cool, but they're not glamorous cops like you would see in like 70s TV. These guys, there's that great scene of watching the main French criminal guy eating in this Michelin star restaurant, and they said it was the coldest day in New York that year. It wasn't planned on it, but they had to like literally take breaks, like going into like shoe stores to just like thaw out in between takes. And you see Popeye Doyle just like crushing like a New York sliced pizza and like a small cup of coffee, like in a phone booth, watching it. And that's like, you see that happen a lot more in like shows like The Sopranos, right? Where the cops are kind of just like eating bullshit food and like the mobsters are living large. But it was kind of back then you would, you know, if you watch something like Dragnet, you would see like dirty hippies and then like cool ass cops walking in or something. So the 70s, this really changed a lot of what the 70s film is like. Like I said, these ambiguous endings, maybe anti-hero kind of characters. Very important to a very important decade of New Hollywood.
He did that again to Live and Die in LA, like the
I think it's a sequel.
Yeah,
I literally think it's. I know, isn't there a French Connection too?
There is. The actor that played Charnier is back in it, but
okay.
Oh, that was another. It had like a famous director too. I forgot who it was. And Friedkin like famously never watched any of the sequels to his movies.
Yeah, because I mean, even though the Exorcist sequels I've heard, I haven't seen them, but I've heard some people actually have nice things to say about them.
I think Blatty directs the third one. And some people like the third one a lot, but I've never seen.
I think Low Res is a big Exorcist 3 guy. I don't know if I'm putting that. I think he's maybe that's who I hear talk about it a lot. But no, the
Jeffrey
French
Dahmer one. Yeah, I want to watch it.
Oh,
I know some people that are big fans. Yeah,
because we talked about it with him, right?
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and that's the Heretic, right? Exorcist 3, the Heretic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it always being like in Blockbuster or something, like, you know, you could rent it around Halloween. And I was like, you know, whatever. But with the French Connection, we are gonna get to Live and Die in LA, but we're gonna have to get our way to it. The To Live and Die in LA feels like this maximalist, like Reaganomics version of that, in the best way possible, of the French Connection, where you have that like 70s gas shortage like aesthetic of like Carter. I don't think Carter's president, I think it's Nixon still, but you know, just that kind of like 70s post Summer of Love, just like, oh fuck this dirty ass grimy town. And then in the 80s you have the constant like money printing montages of To Live and Die in LA. So any final thoughts on French Connection? I mean, it's a great movie. I own it on DVD. I have one of the old DVDs where it's 2-part, and like there's like a preview for, I want to say, Dunstan Checks In on it. Like the old DVDs where like you didn't have a choice whether to watch the previews or not. That's the DVD I have of the French Connection. And I watched it twice for this, and the commentary is very good. However, the autobiography has the best commentary because Friedkin's not selling. He's selling his own thoughts rather than selling his film on DVD. He's a little more PC on the commentary for the French Connection. And then in the autobiography, he's like, oh, fuck all these people, these studio executive losers and stuff. It is a little bit more juicy.
That hotel at the actor stays in, the Roosevelt, it's been in the news for like the last year because that's where they house all the migrants in New York.
Damn.
I think it's pretty funny.
Damn, dude. I see. I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah.
And the place that Charnier was eating, the Westbury, that was also like kind of somewhat recently shut down.
Damn.
A lot of these places, like you recognize, like
he does say that a lot.
Yeah.
I think he did mention that in the or no, it must not have been that, because this commentary is really old, so it wouldn't have been that. But he talks about a few of the bars. He's like, those bars are gone, which that's not so surprising, I guess. Like those dingy bars, and that is a great scene with Psi. You said it, with all the black dudes lined up, and he has to stage that the guy's not a snitch.
Yeah.
To get the words out of him, like, get in the bathroom with me, motherfucker, and he's all, where do you want it? He's like, right here on this side.
Yeah.
and then also just pouring all the drugs and like the tobacco guts into the cup. Oh, it's great, dude. It's if you are a 70s film fan, if you like gritty New York, baby, like those movies, it really gets no better. I mean, you could do a trilogy of this, Taxi Driver, and like Mean Streets, and it would just be the three grossest New York movies, like of New York crime kind of. I know Taxi Driver is not really a crime movie, but just kind of those three films go together really well. If you want to just look at New York at that time, when people objectively say it was maybe the worst time to live in New York in terms of the last century.
In the 70s?
That's what they say. It's what they say. 70s New York was just like unreal. I know somebody who lived there in the 70s. They were a journalist, and they were just like, it sucked ass. Like the movies are cool, but like none of the characters are that happy in the movie.
No, they don't look that happy.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's a reason people, even like the most libtard, like New York people like are like, yeah, Giuliani did clean it up though. Like eventually, like they're like,
no, they don't say that anymore. Now they say, oh, the trends were actually going down before he came in.
Oh, do they? Because I remember that was even a thing amongst like the Jon Stewart ilk, like people like of the time. They were like, yeah, but you as a mayor, Giuliani did his thing. Like they were like, it was getting out of hand. You know, I remember even like my parents who are liberal, they're just like, oh yeah, no, Giuliani, he did his thing. He's just a freak now. I'm like, oh, okay. But you know, just it's pretty, you know, 70s all New York, and then towards the end of the 70s you have like Son of Sam and like all the cruising stuff. So he bookends the 70s with two really bleak and gritty films in The French Connection and Cruising, which I think is a really, for a guy that's not from New York, that's pretty cool. So anyways, let's we're moving on to just through the 70s. I mean, The Exorcist, you can't not talk about it. It's he's won. So he is a hot button director, but he's not the first choice to direct The Exorcist. I believe it was the script was sent around to Mike Nichols, which that would have been hilarious. There's the classic thing of Mike Nichols, who had this other film that didn't do well at the time, but he picked that over The Exorcist, and everybody would tell him, dude, if you directed The Exorcist, it would suck because it's just not his style. It's just not what he does. Mike Nichols is fantastic, but it would not work. And I feel like a few other directors were tapped onto it, but William Peter Blatty, is that his name?
Yeah.
He wrote the novel, which it's based off a true story, kind of like it's just one of those like demonic possession. And Blatty was like himself, that's not like what he wrote about a lot. He just knew he needed a hit novel and he got one. And he wrote the novel and he wanted William Friedkin to direct it. Now the studios are like, that's not how this works. You sold the right to your book. We pick the director. You know, it's just not how this works. He's like, I'm going to go on Dick Cavett show and say that I want William Friedkin to direct this movie, or else I'm not doing any press for it. And they're like, dude, stop. Yeah. And they're like, the guy has one hit. It's like, and he's not, and I get it from the studio thing. It's like, he's not, The Exorcist is not like a crime movie in New York. Like we'd rather William Friedkin, if we're going to give him money, to do another crime film or something. And nonetheless, he gets the job. The production of it's insane. There's a reason people say The Exorcist cursed. There was like, you know, what's the priest's name? The actor that plays the young priest. His kid gets hit by like a motorcycle on set or something. Like it's fucking insane. It's his kid's like in the ICU and he's still like filming through it and stuff. It's just one of those cursed movies that still scares people to this day.
There's like a standoff in Iraq.
Yeah,
there was like an assassination.
Yes. Like, yeah, so like, dude, they filmed. There's the intro scene in Iraq, and the film studios didn't even want to do that. They're like, we don't need how influential is this, by the way? You see it in almost every like demonic movie now. Is like 10 years ago in the Middle East, this idol was discovered underground. They're like, boss, come look at this, and they're like, put it back, and you know. It's done much more artfully and in the Exorcist, but you have like they didn't want to put that part in there, and Friedkin's like, we got to go to Iraq, dude. We got it. Just has to be done because it's in the novel. It's in the novel. They're like, Bill, we could just pick it up from Georgetown. It's fine. And he's like, nah, we got to go there. He watched like this weird like sacrifice happened like of these tribes, and he filmed it, and they like. No, dude, you can't put that in the movie. And everybody was like barfing in the corner, and he was like, this is based as fuck. And he was like filming it, and it was just like, I don't even want to know what was happening in there. And there's like a standoff there. And then eventually the movie becomes so big later around 2000, I think around the Iraq war, I think it was General David Petraeus was like, oh, hey, Bill, like they love you out here in Iraq, and we want to like make like a kind of like Exorcist like tour spot out here. And then all of a sudden, like Friedkin's like, yeah, I love that. Let's do that. They're about to fly out there, and they're like, our bad. There's like bombs happening. We're not going to do that anymore. It's just nuts. I mean, the Exorcist production itself could be. I'm sure there is a book just on the Exorcist production. You easily could write one. If not, I'm sure there's documentaries on it. But he covers it very. It is his biggest hit. I mean, it is his biggest hit. It's still a massive hit to this day. it's pretty perfect. I hadn't seen it for the longest time. I didn't grow up watching it or anything. I didn't see it till rather recently, and I watched it and I completely got it. My wife can't watch demonic possession stuff. Like she will sit down, but like she'll look and I'll be like, "Did you like it?" And she has good taste in film. She's like, "It's good. I don't want to watch this though." And I was like, oh, okay, which is interesting because I'm actually Catholic and that stuff it's not that it doesn't scare me, but I just know that can happen. And I feel like a lot of people of like Christian denominations, like the regular Christian, whatever, Protestant or something, I feel like they're more scared of demonic possession than the actual Catholic people are. I don't know. It's just me. I've always heard that like the Catholic people just go like, yeah, that can happen, you know. Like and
Catholics are immunized to it. Yeah, they're just.
I guess. I mean, the church tries to bury exorcism as like an archaic thing.
Yeah.
I remember we watched it in the Malachi Martin documentary. They're like, oh yeah, we don't like that's like witch doctor stuff to us. Like we don't really do that anymore. And but I was always just like, it's not. I do find the Exorcist scary. It's scary when she's getting her spine tapped, or I don't know if it's a spinal tap, but like when the Linda Blair character is getting that like needle inserted in her neck to like drain the blood and stuff to figure out what's wrong with her. That part's really scary to me. I'm like mortified of that, and that's really done by at like I think NYU or was it Georgetown? It was done at like Georgetown Medical. It was crazy. It was just that part scares the hell out of me.
And one of those guys ended up being like one of the possible cruising killers, like in real life.
What?
Wasn't that was like a story in the book?
Oh, maybe.
Like one of the doctors that was like doing the he was like looking at the camera or the pictures or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please tell it.
That's literally like this is the Exorcist curse. Like just one of the because he like actually shot it at the university hospital, and one of the guys was just like a gay guy that would go to these bars, and I guess he fit the description, and like they asked him like, hey, you fit the description, you might have killed these guys, and then he's like, I mean I was on a lot of drugs, I might have killed them, and they told him that like he would get a massively reduced sentence if he just took the rap for like I don't know a dozen kills, and like because they just kind of like wiped their hands of it and solved the case. But
it was a bunch of gay guys dying. They're like, it was a bunch of gay guys dying. I mean, it was different. It was truly a different time. And no, I think that's I do remember them saying that. I do remember them saying something about that. Yeah, the Exorcist curse. I mean, but Friedkin, you know, and that was making the score right of the Exorcist. The Exorcist, it has this great, you know, score. And he originally wants to tap Bernard Herrmann, who a lot of Hitchcock work, absolutely, you know, legend. Wasn't vibing with it. He wanted to like direct Herman and I totally get this too. Sometimes you tap on like a big name, you don't get to tell them what to do. Because it's kind of like, well, you came to me, I'm more than you. I can help you. I can also tell you fuck off. So you don't have leverage over these bigger name guys. So Bernard Herrmann's kind of like, I'm making this. And he's like, that just hey, I love your work. That doesn't work for me. I think there was another name involved, and there was a guy who brought in a massive orchestra, like a 100-piece orchestra or something. And the studio's already like, Bill, when's this movie going to get done? Like, we're spending a bunch of movie on this. It better fucking make money. It better make money like The French Connection. It better do well. He kind of wanted ambience and small orchestra, like small string sections, and this guy's like, well, I already paid these guys for the week, and he's like, well, tell them to go home. And they're like, Bill, that's a lot of money. That he's like, I'm telling you, it's not going to go in the film. So do you want to waste the time, or do you want to, you know, do this? And he ends up getting a beautiful score out of it. He's right. He was right about what he did. I mean, who knows what those others sound. There's a reason people still watch this movie all the time, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I think Tubular Bells, the Mike Oldfield song, is like, I think that was already made.
Yeah, it was a teach.
Exorcist.
It was like a teach. It was like a teach, kind of like an instructor kind of thing for somebody learning to play something. I thought, right? Wasn't it like kind of a like if you're learning how to play something, it was like Tubular Bells was like a way to practice or something. Yeah, it was something like that. Crazy. But yeah, that was
Richard Branson's first release on his label, or an early release.
Yes, good call.
Yeah.
Damn, did you read the biography? No, but yeah, I completely forgot about that. Richard Branson is just like, you know, just say what you will about Richard Branson.
Yeah,
playing that on the Lolita Express, dude. Just
playing
vibing
out
on the way to Little St. James. Yeah,
he's got his own plane line. Why does he need to take that?
Oh yeah,
he meets them there. He meets them there.
They thought it was too on the nose for Virgin Airlines to go into Little St. James. They were like, we can't do that, Richard. And but it's awesome. It's an awesome movie. So the Exorcist. I can't remember. Did it win? Did it win anything? No, it didn't win anything.
I don't know about not winning any. It didn't win Best Picture.
Yeah, I think it might have got a sound one or something of that. If anything,
because the Jodie Foster one was the first one that won for horror, right? Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. So I think that was the first one.
You've been studying your factoids, dude.
It took Best Adapted Screenplay.
Okay.
Best Adapted Screenplay.
That's pretty good, pretty major. This brings us to Sorcerer. We did cover it. However, I do wish I read the autobiography before it. Just because fucking my God.
This is my favorite part of the book.
It's the best part of the book. It is the best part of the book. As everything you see the characters going through in there, sweaty, malaria, gross water, dissolving illusions, disease stuff happening. All that stuff happened to the crew on there. People got malaria, gangrene. Yeah. He's working with a massive budget. And he wanted to do a retelling. He doesn't call it a remake, but a retelling of Wages of Fear, which I still haven't seen. I know I need to see it. Again, he loves the French, so it's Wages of Fear. He wanted to retell that, and he taps on Roy Scheider again, and brings Roy Scheider on. And he wanted originally to get Steve McQueen, and Steve McQueen, he needed a star. He was like, I want a star, because I'm going to spend a lot of money and I need this to make money back. And that is the best way if you want to make money back, because you are now a mainstream director when you've made those two big hits, and you need to keep making hits. Once you get a taste of success, it's really hard to not do that anymore, especially when you're young and you have the rest of your life to do your passion project. But this kind of was his passion project. He loved it. He thought it was great, but he recognizes the errors. Calling it Sorcerer, he's like, that's stupid. Shouldn't have done that. It's just not. It's people are like, where are the wizards? This is not a wizard movie. Steve McQueen said, I can't be gone for 6 months, dude. I'm not trying to go to the fucking jungle for 6 months. And what he should have done is used him for a little bit of time. And done that, and he was married to Ally McGraw at the time. Steve McQueen was, and he's like, yeah, my wife's like, dude, she's not good. We just got married, we was trying to chill here and stuff. And could she have a role in there? And William Friedkin's like, dude, there's no women in Sorcerer, dude. Movie. Fuck you, dude. This is for the guys, dude. What the fuck you trying? What are you gonna do? What is this, 2022? Fuck, dude. We're not. Dude, no, this is not happening unless your wife wants to troon out or something, dude, for the movie. It's not happening. And so he turns that down. And this is when Friedkin does have his self-awareness. He's like, I was getting too big for my britches. I thought I was a hit maker, and it didn't matter what I did. And that's the struggle when you are a director. You are in power. You have final say. People blame you a lot of times with success and failure. They describe it to you. But there are decisions you could make to, and he quotes the Fountainhead quite a few times in that book. Yeah. So I know he's Howard Rourke pilled. So I know it's probably really tough for him to consult people and value people's input if you really love that book. And it's just a massive failure. I mean, it's just a massive failure. He passes on Star Wars at the time, which again, he's not going to make Star Wars. It's just no universe, no pun intended, was he going to make Star Wars. He tried to make a production company with some guy who was an old Hollywood, or kind of a Hollywood exec guy,
Charles Bluhdorn,
who sounded like organized crime all day.
And there's that really funny line about Guerlain perfume. He saw it in Friedkin.
Oh yeah.
I like that. And he's like, oh, you like this? This is shit. And then he just poured it all over his shoes.
Yeah, he's like, it's Guerlain perfume. He first meets this guy, and this guy's like, hey, I'm gonna give you guys X amount of money. I'll give you guys $5 million a picture to make this, and it's you, William Friedkin, Coppola, and then was it
Peter
Bogdanovich, three legends, who are at the top of their game at the time. And we're gonna make these we're going to make these pictures and we're just going to crank them out. And it's just going to be like an umbrella of like dudes working together. And, you know, after a while, it's just kind of like everyone sees the writing on the wall that they're like, I don't want to work with this guy forever. It's not going to work. I think Bogdanovich did release Paper Moon under that, which
and Daisy Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a hit, you know,
and Conversation actually. So
Friedkin
didn't get in on this at all. It was just those two.
No. And to be honest, I agree with William Friedkin about the Conversation.
It made its money though. I think
it did. No, it was a hit. I mean, it was a hit. I am in the minority on it. I watched it and it did like almost nothing for me. Like,
I've actually never seen it even.
It's fine. I like almost all Coppola. Like just usually he makes, you know, I think Apocalypse Now is one of the best movies of all time. Godfather 1 and 2, classics. I mean, I love his Dracula. I love Coppola, and I love him. Like I love hearing him talk. He's really funny and stuff. But that movie doesn't work. And for me personally, and he screened it for Friedkin, and Friedkin's like, Francis, this just isn't that good. I just don't know what to tell you. Like I don't want to be
a ripoff too.
Yeah, and I don't know what
Antonioni's blowout, I think.
Which I think is unfair because Friedkin does a lot of French stuff. Like, you know, kind of like I don't think that's very fair because I don't think Friedkin rips stuff off, but he's effectively making American French New Wave stuff, like, you know, for the beginning part of his career. And so it's like that part I wouldn't say is fair, but I agreed with it. I probably would have said the same thing if that was like my friend or something. I'd be like, man, this is like, you know, you're making like The Godfather, dude. Like, this is just isn't that good. And it's funny, maybe there was because it was Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even.
You ever think about that? Maybe he just saw. He's like, I'm fucking sick of this loser. Dude, this guy sucks.
He didn't even say the N-word once.
Yeah, it's true.
Actually, I've never seen it, so maybe he does. I don't know.
It does. I don't think so. He's a very paranoid, sensitive man in that movie. He looks like he dresses like Jacques Tati in like Playtime, and it's really funny. But he. Anyways, that, you know, Sorcerer is just a bomb, like one of the biggest bombs ever, or most famous bombs, I should say. It's dead on arrival, takes way too long, comes in way over budget. By the way, do you ever wonder why Clint Eastwood made so many films? Clint Eastwood's main thing was on time and under budget for all his movies, like almost every movie he ever made. And that's why studios were like, yeah, sure, you can have money. And then he made his own, El Paso, but like to get funding, I don't know if I should be saying this because I don't know if I should be saying this because I didn't do the right watermarks, but I don't even want to say it. I might get sued, but Clint Eastwood is on time and under budget, and I'm his biggest fan. But that is inside baseball RC history if you understand that. But Friedkin comes in way over, but I mean it's just and I love it. I legitimately love it. It still might be my favorite of his. Maybe
it's a good choice.
It's so good. I mean, but I get why it doesn't work. And it's not, you're making this epic that doesn't really reward anybody. And I don't think it should, but I get why maybe some audiences. And then again, you have people wrapped around the block to watch Star Wars a million times. I mean, that nobody thought Star Wars was going to be big. And truly, nobody thought it. Like George Lucas is this young guy working under Francis Ford Coppola. In San Francisco, and they're, you know, he's like, I have this film student guy, this like kind of like nerd tech film student guy. American Graffiti ends up being like a pretty big hit, but he's like, he's gonna do this, and Friedkin's like, a space opera, fucking gay, like this is so stupid, like, and then he's like, I watched it, and he's like, honestly, I watched it, it's good, but is this a hit? I don't know. Yeah, it was. So Friedkin has a lot of misses, and it kind of sets the course for the rest of his career of like, he knows what he wants to make and he makes really good stuff, but he's not really good to think objectively of what's going to work for like the audience and stuff. And he kind of almost is at war with audiences sometimes, but it's a war that I'm on his side for, because I love almost everything he's done. But I get why some people, you know, there's not a lot.
It's easy in retrospectively too, to, you know, look at it. Yeah, for sure. And I can see while it's happening in the 70s, people are like, who the fuck, you know?
And why can't you just make one movie? If I'm a studio exec, can you make one movie where the guy gets the girl in his arm at the end and he's holding his fist up and he wins? And Friedkin's like, no, it's not how life works. They're like, I know, you know, and you understand both sides of the argument. They're like, I know that's not how life works. We're not doing life movies, you know? So very European director. He's a very European style. I know he's from Chicago, and his accent is very Chicago the way they say it. But he has a very European style to him that he never ever quite shook, and he got weirder as he got older. These are his like normie movies of the 70s. He got extremely weird in the 2010s, which I can't wait to talk about.
Wait, can I bring up his biggest miss of this time?
Yes.
His biggest miss was he was offered to buy the Celtics, and he passed up on it. He passed up on buying probably like $1 billion.
I have to give him some credit. The NBA sucked in the 70s, and I don't mean the product. People didn't watch it. It was not a league that made money, and owners were losing money in the NBA. Magic and Larry came in and saved the NBA. And that was
right. He would have gotten in like ground floor.
What I mean is, you just don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that is another retrospect thing where it's like, okay, this is a guy who is making money making films, and yeah, he could put some money in, but he's like, I was looking at this and it just like didn't seem like it was gonna make money like right off the bat, and he wasn't in a position to be like he wasn't in a position to HODL on Celtics, dude, and ride him to the moon. Like he was. I get it, because dude, 70s NBA the finals was on tape delay. Like my dad
live betting that.
Dude, my dad said my dad's a Laker guy, and not anymore. He hates basketball now, but he in the 70s, he's like wants to watch, like, I think the Lakers were, I forget who they were playing in the finals in the late 70s, but he's like, you had to watch it on tape delay. Like you would wait till like 11 p.m. at night and like have to watch it, and like you didn't want to watch the news because the news would tell you the score, and you would like watch the game and like react to it at night. And my dad's like staying up like probably when he's not supposed to be doing it at the time. He's probably 15 years old at the time. And so it's like you're selling somebody that didn't bet on that, you know, or didn't buy that. He didn't pass on 1988 NBA. You know, he passed on 1970s NBA, which was kind of a failing product. And so a lot of people did too, by the way. And there's a reason the Celtics were for sale at that time. Like, it's just, they were the most famous franchise, which if you're going to buy it, buy, you know, the most prestigious franchise. But that was not available in the 80s again. And he would practice with them too. He would go practice. He'd go run.
He knew ball.
He could ball. There's a great picture. You can look it up of William Friedkin playing basketball where he's closing out like on a 3-point shot. It's hilarious, of like a real basketball player for Blue Chips. It's really funny.
Here's a quote out. Bob Cousy is the most complete player I've ever seen.
Dude,
love that line. Cousy heads.
Yeah,
they know ball.
And he's like, you could tell he probably watched like in the late 90s, like Allen Iverson. He's like, what is this ghetto ass Bob Cousy rip off, dude? Cousy kept the ball close to the ground. You couldn't steal it from him. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That brings us to, well, he does have a failure with the bank job, the bank heist. That movie. I'm sad that movie didn't do well. I haven't seen it, but I love the cast.
Either.
I love the cast. It's Jenna Rollins, John Cassavetes, Peter Falk. Love all of them. We just covered them recently on here, but it's just, you know, it was just kind of like they made it kind of a comedy, and Friedkin's comedy needs to be dark comedy, and I have a feeling this wasn't. I feel like it was a little more zany, and I can just see right now why it probably doesn't work. He has a failure there. So he's 0 for 2 there, and then he decides. It's funny when Friedkin, when you just start forgetting about him, he decides to make some of his darkest work, it seems like. And that's what happens with Cruising. And Cruising rules. Sai, you have to see Cruising sometime. It rules.
Yeah, I'll watch that one. Yeah.
It rules. Another one where he doesn't like the actor in it, the lead actor. Hates Al Pacino, dude. And I get it. Al Pacino, you know, in the 70s, legendary run. I think next to maybe Dustin Hoffman, I would say it's tough to find a better run of films in the 70s as a lead. But he's on a high horse right now. He's riding high. Godfather, Dog Day Afternoon. I mean, come on. And Serpico. And he gets the part for this. And the first day, I think, of shooting, he showed up 2 hours late and like smelling like weed and stuff and just like not giving a fuck.
Oh, and his head was shaved too.
Well, the reason his head was shaved was because the script for Cruising, like a draft, was going around New York, around the gay parts of New York, and this is considered a homophobic gay movie. about how gay men might want to have internalized homophobia and start killing other gay men because their dad doesn't love them. Might be the case. I don't know if that's the case in real life or not. I don't know any of that, but that they didn't like that this was happening. So Al Pacino goes into a barber, and I'll reenact it like as if I'm doing a documentary. But he's like, "Yeah, you know, hey, oh, Mr. Pacino, hey, come in. Hey, are you doing a new movie? Yeah. It's called Cruising. Yeah, is this you're playing a homosexual? Yeah. It's a possible. It's ambiguous, but it's going to be involving a homosexual murder, and I'm going to be an undercover cop that has to go into the gay bars and investigate who this killer with the aviators is. And meanwhile, they just go start fucking up his haircut. And his hair does look like shit in it. He normally a guy with some of the best hair you'll ever see. Looks terrible in it. He has like this like almost like what are Ned Flanders' kids' names?
Rod and Todd.
Rod and Todd. He's got the Rod and Todd haircut. It looks horrible. And Pacino, I'll say this. We'll fill in the blanks here, but it got so bad that he did refuse to do any press for the movie. And which is a killer, right? That's your star. That's the mistake he made with Sorcerer, not getting like a Steve McQueen or that type of person to get in there that would help with the press junkets, get on all the late night shows. He does hire that star, and that star refuses to do it. But Cruising is in my opinion a masterpiece. I loved it the first time I saw it, which is about 4 years ago when I listened to the TPN episode. Loved it. It's expertly shot, it's menacing, it's brooding, it's downright scary, and there's a lot of seed oils in it. There's a guy dipping his up to his elbow in Crisco lard to fist another man on a swing. So it's not Petey what they're doing in those clubs. And it's really but it's great. I mean, great soundtrack. I don't know who's on that soundtrack. Is it just punk, or is that like made for the film? I didn't know.
I don't even know.
Yeah, just the guitar is great. It's very great, like late 70s. Friedkin really was like into like he loved like what was hot in the streets. Is what I love about him. You know, in the 80s you get the Wang Chung, which I would love to talk about, but in like the 90s it would be like rap and Blue Chips and stuff. He's like that. He was like he wanted to know what the kids were into. So that was kind of, I always like when it's kind of Miles Davis.
Something like Tangerine Dream too for Sorcerer.
Oh yeah, fuck! Don't even get me started on that. It's a beautiful score. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's an underrated part of his career. Almost, I'm thinking that, you know, just all
French Connection music's great too. Yeah, it's like The Exorcist. No, and it can make or break. I mean, it can make or break a movie. I mean, it's like good music you notice, but like bad music you really notice. Like I was the Day of the Jackal Peacock series, which I love. I think is really great. Has some of the worst music I've ever heard, and it's like. It's like really fake, like Adele, Nora Jones, like rose flowers, you know, like just those weird, like you can tell it's like a millennial woman pretending to be a jazz lounge singer, and she's like narrating what's like happening, and it's really bad. It's not enough to tank the series, but like Lord, it tried its best. Friedkin movies always have the best, and Cruising is amazing. Nobody clipped that. I don't believe Cruising is actually amazing. That's not what I'm
What bandana are you going with?
Yeah. Oh, great team. And did you realize that's Powers Booth?
No.
I don't know if you know him, but he's from Deadwood. A bunch of cop movies. He's in Frantic with Matthew McConaughey, but he's just like the guy working in the store. I was like, that is such a strange random role for him in like the gay like village part of New York. What part of New York is that?
I don't know where Cruising takes place. I'm not. You don't see me around those.
You took a picture there the other day and sent it and said I'm cruising right now. Where was it?
I actually don't know.
But yeah,
I think some of it takes. I think some of it's around like Central Park. Is that the part?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that looks like Central Park. Some of the where there's that guy like running in like jeans. It's like, dude, it's insane. The guy's like sprinting in like jeans to work out or something. It's insane. And but yeah, Pacino, the concept of the film is it takes the classic Friedkin, like ambiguous, morally kind of going both ways, and sexually, of, okay, I'm rooting for this guy. And is this guy ruining shit though? Like, is this guy like low-key the worst part of it? And what happened in the filming of Cruising is, or the editing process, Friedkin made his money in the editing room. And I think most directors think the same, it's editing, right? Editing is, you can ruin a film or make it great in the editing process. And he didn't like Pacino's performance, and he thought it was phoned in. I can see what he's saying, but it almost works the way Pacino plays the character, like that he's
really withdrawn.
Yeah, he's really withdrawn. And so it's I guess, again, I don't know what tactics he's using to make that the case, but I kind of, in a sense, I get maybe if we were behind the camera directing and this guy's just like kind of like doing his own thing, I guess I can see why you'd think that was phoned in. But I think if Pacino did his classic, and I want it now, like if he was doing that in there, it would just take you out of the movie. It's kind of one of the last times Pacino doesn't do his like, she's got a great ass. Like he kind of became that caricature of himself later. And I'm glad he wasn't doing that in this movie. And Pacino, Friedkin effectively changed the ending of the movie to what Pacino thought it was. But he's also kind of like, hey, well, Al, you never gave a shit. So what do you care what I do with your character in the movie? Like, now you care? And Pacino would show up to the editing room and he'd go, your work's done. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, no, Bill, I'm here. I'm here. And he goes, oh, now you want to fucking work? No, get the fuck out of here, dude. And in my head, my revisionist history is like, I'm actually going to make you gay as fuck in this movie. like a gay possible serial killer in this movie, because there is an illusion at the end that they seem to have caught the killer, but a guy that really Al Pacino only knew is dead and murdered in his bathroom now. And very, very good movie. But he talks about it, the autobiography, where he's like, this guy's a fucking nightmare, dude. This guy mails in his whole performance, but then wants final say and final edit and stuff. He's like, no, absolutely not. And again, like, try that with a Miles Davis, right? Try that with any of these people. You'll get the same result. But imagine if on an album you thought you could take, if like John Coltrane was bothering Miles Davis and you're like, actually, I'm going to play around with your saxophone to make you sound like shit on my album. And he kind of finds a way to do that with Al Pacino's character, to where Al Pacino was looked at as like evil for playing this character of a poor depiction of homosexuality. In a time where people thought they needed constant puff pieces about them, and that it wasn't some like mental illness or derangement or something. I guess people thought it was boycotted. I mean, it was straight up boycotted. It was, like I said, the script got out early before the movie was even shot, and everybody had their opinion about it. Did Cruisin' make money? I kind of didn't.
I don't think so.
I don't think it made.
It was a little expensive, but it might have broke even.
Yeah, but it's a classic. It's a classic. Yeah. I mean, it is truly, like, if you haven't seen that one, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's unknown Friedkin. It's definitely not, but a lot of people kind of like skip over it a little bit, I think, and it's well worth watching.
You know who's on that early? Who's an early fan? Camille Paglia,
of course.
And the Bret Easton Ellis with Friedkin. He pointed that out to Friedkin.
That's a great interview, by the way, where Friedkin cries about mass shootings at the end.
He does that on the Killer Joe commentary too.
Does he really?
I'll get into that later, but yeah. But when he heard that about Paglia, he said, "Paglia, she's the real deal." I was like,
yeah, and he had great taste. I mean, he loved America. He goes, I think the only reason he does that interview is because of American Psycho, because he loves American Psycho, because he keeps going. But Friedkin really went into like a senile boomer mode. I mean, he might be even older than a boomer, honestly, but he's like, he kind of goes into that, like, there's that Nicholas Winding Refn thing where Refn's like kind of trolling him a little bit, talking about it. And then he goes, you want to know a great movie? Have you seen Citizen Kane? Have you seen 2001: A Space Odyssey? Go watch those. And he just really like goes like senile on people. And with Bret Easton Ellis, he's like, even if he was disagreeing with him, like, and Friedkin would get in your face, it was as though he's such a sports guy to me. Like, the disagreements are like somebody like from a rival team, like, fuck you, that guy sucks, and with Bret Easton Ellis, he'll just be like, well, you wrote American Psycho, that's a great, that's a book, and so he always had these like mutual respect for people who put out like really good like transgressive art into the world. And why wouldn't he like Camille Paglia? And is Friedkin, do you think, is DL a little bit? There's rumors.
I never thought of that, and then Jack said it on the podcast, and I was like, then hearing this book again, and hearing him say his assistant Tony, and I was like, oh wait, Tony. That could. I just figured his assistant was a chick, but now I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to like retroactively queer somebody because I know the implications of that, but like
he says that he's straight though. He says that he's straight. He says he doesn't. Yeah. So,
but yeah, and then like his like marriage felt very conditional later.
He doesn't mention any marriages until like I
yeah,
don't know the last
yeah.
quarter of the book, and then he said, "Yeah, I got divorced."
Yeah, and he's like, I had 2
divorced
kids,
twice,
and you're like,
yeah.
they're 13 at this point. You're like, when were your kids born? And he's like, fuck, I don't know, sometime. And very Miles Davis. It's a very Miles Davis. But Miles Davis brings up his kids like twice, and it's one of them is because he sucks at trumpet or something. In the autobiography, he's like, kid fucking ass, dude, at trumpet.
And
And
DMX was the same way, actually.
well, that I agree with. Yeah, I think I could see that. Should we talk To Live and Die in LA?
Oh, you don't want to talk about Deal of the Century, the book
No.
or the movie Friedkin doesn't even mention in the book. I don't think.
Well, I don't have anything to say about it.
I've never seen it either.
It's on there, I guess. If you guys want to do some reconnaissance work, if that movie's good or not, I get the idea it's not. To Live and Die in LA. This is up there.
It's awesome. It's really
it's
awesome.
up there. It is from, and I love the genesis. Because it starts with Wang Chung, man. It starts with Wang Chung at the beginning, and you get the montage of like the Islamic guy blowing himself up at the Ronald Reagan speech, jumping off the balcony and blowing himself up, and but then Wang Chung is their lead. The lead song is To Live and Die in LA, which William Friedkin explicitly asked them not to do. He said, hey, if you're gonna make thing, don't give me like a theme song that's like the title of the movie. And they're like, hey, what about this? And then he's like, yeah, this shit actually fucking rocks. Like you guys were right. Which that's like, if you're listening to his biography, he like hates when people do that, but it was so sick. He was like, I'll make this one exception. And we now have to reshoot like a montage for this to have that, because it doesn't fit in my film the way I have it, but we have to reshoot a montage for it.
I think that whole opening scene was shot. Yeah. Like the, with the suicide bomber,
and then the whole like LA kind of like helicopter footage of LA, kind of, just the like news footage of like kind of scummy LA. It stars William L. Peterson, or is it William L. or was it not Jesse Lee Peterson? William Peterson, whatever. He ended up William Peterson, you'll remember from CSI. Yeah. David Caruso and William Peterson both do feature films with William Friedkin, and then go on to have like 20-year careers on CSI, 30-year careers on CSI.
Mega careers.
David Caruso did do NYPD Blue before Jade, though, so I guess he didn't really launch that. But William Peterson is in 2 classic movies, in my opinion, right around the same time, both with almost the same character, in my opinion, of his character in To Live and Die in LA, and then Michael Mann's Manhunter, where they're both kind of like obsessed with the crime and like almost doing the crime but solving it at the same time.
He was in Thief too, I think.
Yeah, you know what?
Like,
I think you're right.
That was his first. That was like first small role. Actually, D1 college football player. If you didn't know, Idaho State.
I think it was D3.
D3 is Idaho State. I thought they were in the WAC
at that time. Well,
okay,
I thought it was D3, but nonetheless, and it's funny when you look at him. I don't know what position he played, but like he's probably like 175. Like when you see him in like the shirtless picture, he looks fantastic, but it's just a different kind of like 80s football jacked is way different than like DK Metcalf right now or something. Like it's just he's just shredded, but like it's in that like I was just moving cinder blocks with my dad for a summer kind of like workout, not like I have a hyperbaric chamber that I sleep in and I'm like a sauna 4 times a day. And then you see him now on CSI and he's like fat. And he just has that like puffball thing, but he was just like an absolute chad in this movie. It also stars Willem Dafoe as the art fag counterfeiter. It's really nice to see Willem Dafoe not dancing around like a shrunken head in like Robert Eggers movies now. Like I'm not hating on that. I like the Robert Eggers movies, but it's nice to let people know that he can actually do like other characters other than like the crazy guy.
He's in like every movie now, and like the pickleball commercial in the Super Bowl. He's everywhere. I don't know how he does it.
He's being overexposed. It's not his fault. Yeah. Big fan. I mean, the first time I saw Willem Dafoe was the Green Goblin in Spider-Man back in the day, dude.
Yeah.
He was awesome. But yeah, he's fantastic. I didn't know that the Secret Service handles counterfeit stuff. I like literally didn't know that would, but I guess it is Federal Reserve currency. So, it makes sense. But it took me, the first time I watched the movie, I didn't understand it was the Secret Service until like an hour in. I was like, oh, I thought these were just like cops. and there's like, they're like, yeah, I thought it was just a, a crime drama. Also, the police chief, or the Secret Service chief, Robert Downey Sr.
Yeah.
Doesn't look anything like Robert Downey
Pencil
Jr.
neck, they called him.
Yeah, and he's such a little asshole. He brings up the rule book. Code 305D, actually. Like, that's why I don't, and it's like, dude.
It's like, you're supposed to be reporting to me what you're doing. It's like,
yeah, it's like, dude, we're the Secret Service. Who gives a fuck, dude? Like, we can do whatever we want, you know? And but yeah, it follows William Peterson loses his, I mean, this movie is charmingly tropish, is what I like about it too. Is it is very unique in its own way, but it follows a lot of like 80s tropes that are really nice. Like the what was I gonna say? The you're beautiful, baby. You're beautiful.
About the money.
About the money, and then William Peterson says it back to him right before it all goes bad. And then there's the classic cop of, I'm about to retire, let's crush beers at that bar. William Peterson's in his like knockoff like flea market Steelers jersey. I don't know what jersey that is, but it looks insane, and he has like a scarf with jeans, and it's pretty sick look, to be honest. But then he's like, oh yeah, I got like one more job to do. And he's like, we're partners, we go together. And he's like, nah, dude, this is nothing. I just gotta go through this guy's like dumpster. And look, and then of course he dies, right? You can like predict his death in it, and I love that it's charmingly tropish.
Yeah, no, it's like it's such an. It was like the start of the 80s, or no, I guess mid.
I think it's right. I thought it was right in the middle, right?
Yeah, so it like kind of feels like it's setting off like that whole wave of not procedural crime drama, but like just everything crime related. Like afterwards, like this is like the quintessential 80s crime movie.
It's
like
so good.
Everything's fake. The like money's just flowing. People
Yeah.
are doing drugs. People are going to like weird artsy like kabuki theater.
Yeah,
it's cool. Like it's just like a cool vibe. Like I think it's
like none of the chicks. I'm not
awesome.
I'm not a master of like 80s like actors or anyway, but like all the chicks, I feel like I've never seen them in any other movie.
It's Debbie Foyer, is that her name?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, where else is she?
I've
like,
seen that name before. I don't know.
Yeah, they're all just like there's like that Nicole Kidman kind of looking chick with the red hair, puffed up red hair, and like you're just like, oh yeah, I again, people could be like, Doug Glenn, obviously, like Miami Vice season 1 or something. I don't know, but I love the black dudes too, in the black pickup basketball player guys.
Oh yeah,
that's a great scene, man. that's Friedkin at his finest, man. Like it's just
apparently Friedkin and Peterson, like when they're at the prison, they would just play pickup basketball with the inmates, and they would win. They'd beat them at hoop. That's sick. Like,
and Psi's guy John Turturro, pretty epic role by him. Back when he used to be like a racially ambiguous criminal in every movie. Like in the 90s, he was like, oh, Coen Brothers, I'm like I'm a different kind of guy now. But in the 80s, he was just like, yeah, I got my flat top and I'm fucking, nobody knows what race I am. So I could just do literally anything that involves crime. But yeah, the classic scene of John Turturro. And there's always these really funny, in William Friedkin movies, there's always these like really like jarring lines where you're kind of like not expecting them, but then you realize, well, it is a Friedkin movie, so I'm probably gonna like get my head torn off during this by a plot twist. But there's like the part where Turturro gets arrested, and Rick Masters, Willem Dafoe's character, goes in and like basically saying like, you better not fucking rat on me, dude. I'll try to make sure you don't do the full 5. And Turturro's already like, dude, I thought I was gonna do like no time. And then he's like, yeah, I won't come in your mouth or something. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's such a weird ass line for the movie. But it like really, this movie has like a bit of a, like just a nastiness to it. There's a massive twist. I don't really want to give it away. But William Peterson, I maybe called him William L. Peterson. L. There was an L in the middle because, well, takes one. It's pretty rough. It's the classic William Friedkin kind of like, I can take this away from you at any minute. Life comes at you fast. People die instantly, don't get too attached to anybody. But he does it in a really artful way. I think it's not just nihilism. I don't think. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Kurt, but like a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people think that's lazy, especially when you see it now, like in like Game of Thrones, when you kill off Ned Stark in season 1 or something. People kind of view it as hack.
I mean, I wouldn't even compare it to that, because like Ned Stark's like a dignified, like loyal, like living to his principles
Yeah, it's
guy.
true.
Whereas like To Live and Die in LA, they're trying to like go as far as they can. Like they have an obsession, and he has a death. I'm not gonna say anything more, but he has a death wish. Like he'll do whatever he can to like capture Willem Dafoe's character. Like this is his like this is his work. Like he's living this. Like there's no off time. It's like French Connection. Like they're just doing like they're just getting the big hit. Like that's what they're doing. Like they're just hyper focused on this thing. Like as long as that happens, like nothing else matters.
It's kind of like you're rooting for him. It's kind of, or like Barry Lyndon, where like the first half of Barry Lyndon, you're like, dude, fuck yeah, W's for the boys all day. This is great. And then you're like halfway through the movie, you're like, damn, dude, you are fucking up. But William Peterson is his character is like, there's that part where you're gonna talk about one of the best car chases ever, in my opinion, is the To Live and Die in LA, where it just all goes bad. The botch deal where the sniper takes out the federal agent. Again, I'm getting probably the organizations confused. Don't really care. And they go the wrong way in traffic on LA in LA up like an off ramp, and the radio playing at the same time saying you're not gonna miss too much time. Don't worry, guys. I love that. Again, great music playing during the case, but at the end there's the John Pankow character, or not the end, but the end of that scene, the John Pankow character is like, dude, what the fuck, we are fucked. And William Peterson's like, nah, dude, this is fucking great, dude. Like, this is awesome. And he's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, we're literally like, we might do time, like we might be like arrested. At that point, like you said, he might have just signed his papers for what's about to happen.
It's that scene's also so GTA 5, like, or San Andreas, like losing your stars, like going into the I don't know, what do you call it, like in California,
the chop shop, like the chop shop.
No, well, yeah, that later, but like I didn't even think about that, the chop shop thing, but the going through like the underpass, like what do you call that? We don't really have that.
We don't have aqueduct, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. We have those, but it's like not a thing. LA like really highlights those, like in Chinatown where he meets the kid on the horse, like it's all happening over there, like LA, that's like a massive staple for like LA cinema. It's not the case up here. And by the way, that's how libtards just run water off into the ocean, is through those, instead of giving them to farmers and saying that we're in a drought. But just to quote Chinatown there, Chinatown is a documentary, apparently. But I love the Willem Dafoe character so much, though. I just love the idea of like a total artsy criminal, but he is scary though. Like you're not like laughing at him, and he's like kind of gay, but like in a prison rapist way, like where he's just like, oh, what do you got here, huh? Yeah, fuck, dude. Like, and just like basically grabbing his dick and stuff, and like he knows that he's smarter than anybody else in the movie, and he knows when he's being scammed. He knows when the jig is up. He has that big, like, massive dude that just blasts people. Really scary, like, including William Peterson. He has that dude ready to just like come out of like lockers and kill people and stuff. It's like I said, the black dude's like that. That's a great scene where the guy just has the little like knife in between his fingers. And he's just like, dude, come on. Like, and he tries to punk him, right? And he's just like, because they were supposed to kill John Turturro in the jail. That was botched. And then he's like, well, give me my 40,000 back. And they're just like, oh, just print. Nah, dude, you can just print your money, dude. You're good, man. You got it. By the way, very carcinogenic job.
A lot of chemicals.
That didn't look, I've already felt like, the Rick Masters character, I think, would have dealt with some really tough health issues had the movie ended differently. I think. I think really, really tough job. Willem Dafoe's death is incredible in that. The on fire, just like lighting him on fire and shooting him. It's just, this whole movie is just like the Michael Bay South Park, like, and then you fucking but it's like, it's just what you would do if you had a big budget to make like a big movie this way. And I don't know what the budget was. I don't have that in front of me, but I think this movie made a little money, right?
It must have.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Let's see.
He didn't really talk, like the way he talked about it in the book it's kind of like middle. It sounds like it was middling. and like he wasn't sure if it was gonna be big. He described it as like kind of wanting to make an indie movie.
Wow, it was only a $6 million budget. That's not nearly what I thought it was. $6 million budget, made 17.3. I mean, he made money.
Okay,
so, yeah. I mean, how much of the budget was Wang Chung? That's what I wonder.
They weren't big they weren't very big then. It was like while they were making their second album, I think.
Yeah, everybody Wang Chung tonight. Yeah, that probably was on the way. They were probably on the way to making that. Also, Dean Stockwell's in this. Dean Stockwell, because again, William Friedkin loves like foreign cinema. Paris, Texas, which is like a solid movie that I think gets overrated by girls on the internet, but it's a solid movie. But Dean Stockwell's in that, and that's why he's in To Live and Die in LA. He's just like
the same cinematographer as Paris, Texas, I think.
There you go. Yeah. And that's what it is. But any other thoughts about To Live and Die in LA? It's great. It's on Prime right now, so everybody's talking about it. So it's a sound, and I swear, it's going to sound like we are like capitalizing on this being on like streaming again. This was always the plan. And then all of a sudden I saw it was on Prime. I saw Doug in our Discord was like, hey, watching this. And I looked up and like, oh, it's on Prime now. And
actually, I'll say something about this.
What's that?
When Friedkin was still alive, this movie was finally going to get like a nice 4K release. And he was not having the master of it at all. Like it took like 2 years, for him to like, he wouldn't approve it. Like Kino Lorber, they're like kind of after Criterion Collection, they're probably the biggest one. Mm-hmm. It was so annoying, like hearing it get announced and then like waiting and like Kino Lorber was just like, yeah, our hands are tied. Like we can't do this. They already bought the rights to like Bug and I forgot there was another one, and then he was just so annoying to work with because like the Directors Guild like makes sure that any like final home release, they have to get an approval from like a living director. And after he died, also before that, he lost his like he had glaucoma in his eyes, so like he couldn't really like visualize like colors very well. So he just kept on approving bad transfers for like home releases. And like after he died, then they like rebought the rights to Bug. They did Haunted. They did what else did they do? Rules of Engagement. So like floodgates opened as soon as he died. And like there's probably gonna be a Criterion release for French Connection now, but he was still a curmudgeon, like not approving things. Like he loved home releases, like he loved DVDs, but he just for some reason just didn't want his movies to
get the same out of treatment. Hand, though. I have noticed it's getting out of hand. I saw somebody getting excited about watching Inland Empire in 35mm. I was like, it's filmed on a fucking camcorder.
No,
it's filmed on. It's literally not.
Blu-ray's fine for that. Like you don't have to wait for a 4K. Like Blu-ray will be.
I saw this like letterboxed like looking guy was just like holding the film reel and he was like watching Inland Empire in 35mm tonight. And Jack rightfully jumped all over him and was like, "That's a fucking like it's filmed like a fucking home porn." Like he's like, "That's not what it's supposed to be."
Just give us the release. Just let me have it. Let me watch
it. Can I have it? Like, can I just have? I've never been like I know a lot of people are like 4K this and that. I'm always like, dude, Blu-ray. I like Blu-ray.
It was really rare. Like the Blu-ray for To Live and Die in LA was like it was just out of print for a while. Like,
I have the old ass DVD, like the old ass like motion screened one where it's like the montage over and over of the chase in the background, like old DVD. Like that's the one I have. I bought it from fucking Rasputin Records out here. I bought that and the French Connection in the same purchase. So they were just somebody sold all their Friedkin DVDs to Rasputin Records apparently, and I capitalized on them. It's a classic movie. You can watch it over and over and over again. The soundtrack immediately ropes you in. It's like I said, William Peterson's fantastic, and he probably made the right move in terms of making money, because people are always like jealous of those guys where they just get the job for like 30 years of something, and it's not a soap either. Like, so it's just literally like procedural crime, boomer crime stuff that people just leave their TV on after watching football on Sundays, and that shit's just on. And he did that forever. But I think he could have had a great career in like 90s kind of like Fincher stuff too, and who knows what else. But he probably made the right move for his wallet, though, because that dude's probably balling out of control right now for being in CSI for as long as he has. He might still be in it. I don't know. Is that show on? I don't know if it's on or if they've if it's just like FTMs and like Hawaiian shirts, like hacking stuff. I don't have no idea what that show is anymore, or what they're laundering, what like Ukraine stuff they're like putting in there, and I have no idea. But yeah, moving on. Kind of gonna fast forward through a lot of this stuff. He did that one serial killer movie. I haven't seen it, but I am interested in it. The Rampage. I am interested in that.
The cool thing about that one is that like he started his career with the Paul Crump documentary, getting this guy out of jail. Also, people say that I say documentary weird. I don't know if I did that time or not, but I'm mindful of it.
I don't.
But okay, so that he got to start on that, and then after everything happened with Paul Crump, he made Rampage as like a way to say like to acknowledge like he's pro death penalty now.
I mean, you get burned once, right? And you're just like, and I'm, I have a complicated thing with that, but like there's certain times where you're just like, while I'm not looking, you want to pull the switch. Like some of these people are insane, and I, again, Catholic, I believe God takes the life, but I understand, like
there are evil people in this world that like should get killed.
It's a reset. We might just need to hit the reset on this one. Like I might be a demon and we might need to purge the world of a demon. Like it should be, and the more bureaucratic we get about it, we can like get these people turned back on the streets. Like you have Biden pardoning the the pedophile, like the illegal immigrant pedophile and stuff. Yeah, the guy was insane. I mean, the guy was legit. A proper government would never let that guy see the light of day ever again.
And that movie also had like this crazy thing where like the production company like went out of business before the movie came out, and like
De Laurentiis, 10 years. Giada's
it was
grandfather.
Him?
That's Giada's De Laurentiis' grandfather, Dino De Laurentiis. Guy's a legend, dude.
Yeah,
I think he put out Year of the Dragon, Psi. I think he did. The guy had hits.
Chimino movie.
I think so. I could be wrong. He's all over. Good. I mean, no, if you look up Dino De Laurentiis' like filmography,
he produced the Conan movies.
Yes. So yeah, he was kind of like messing around with like the right wing like Milius types too. Like he was kind of, but yeah, you wonder, like this is crazy that like your granddaughter is just like crushing Food Network, like like in the 90s and stuff. But yeah, I think De Laurentiis is, I forget the name of his film. It might just be the De Laurentiis. Yeah, De Laurentiis film. But yeah, that goes under like right when it's time to release, and you're just like, that was kind of like when the cannabis club I worked at like got raided, and I was like, do I have a job tomorrow? And they're like, no, and this wasn't a real job to begin with, so we cannot. Good luck filing for unemployment. But yeah, it was just kind of.
It went 5 years. 5 years before like Weinstein's company Miramax bought it.
Yeah, which was a huge thing for the Friedkin type of guys. Like, the guys who are they going to make blockbuster movies? They can, probably not though. And but dude, Harv was a game changer. I mean,
he rocked.
You just like you watch just like mid-level good. I mean, Tarantino doesn't exist without Harvey Weinstein. No. At all. Like there's just no chance it happens. I'm sorry. Like some people might disagree and think Tarantino could have done, but there was just no avenue for a Tarantino. And then Harvey Weinstein was just one of those guys. It was like he was creating like the big three or something, or like, I don't know, like the NBA, or like, it was just like, hey, like, I know these guys are like talented, maybe that's not the best example because nobody watches that shit, but like, it's just finding this like secret third thing where it's not just like art house Cassavetes, like, this movie's just sitting at an art house theater and only certain types of people are going to go see it. And then you have the massive films that stay in the theater for like 2 months at a time, 3 months at a time. I think the Exorcist you talk about was somebody had a 6-month contract. Can you imagine that nowadays for any movie, even like Avatar, like something massive is not going to be in the movies for 6 months, but
they had to like, Friedkin, because like they just didn't have enough reels for Exorcist. Like there was this Friedkin told a story where like someone, he's not saying it was him, but someone like stole the knockoff film reels at gunpoint. He just like went to movie theater. Like someone else did that and like stole them.
Yeah. And they would bootleg it. Yeah, they would kind of like show it at other theaters and stuff, and when other theater, this is a completely different time in film where it was like that was even a thing. But yeah, it was just like, so you would see like kind of these like unofficial Exorcist screenings and stuff, and that's what happened. It was kind of like one of his movies to like steal a film, basically. Like it was like a Friedkin film happening to steal his reels of film, which is very poetic. But yeah, so in the 90s, like I said, you have Jade. I don't like it. Kurt likes it. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, like there's just like it's really David, it's kind of just a mess, but it's just the David Caruso, like where it's like, because the concept of it is basically like an art thief guy gets like murdered or something, and nobody knows what happened, and he's kind of was into some perverted stuff, and when they're going through the room, it's just like kind of like guy picks up like some furry handcuffs, and he's like, somebody was a little tied up last night. It's just that type of like tone to it, and you're just like, oh dude, come on. But it does have, like you said, the chase scene is amazing, and if there's one thing William Friedkin can do, it's automotive scenes. The bridge and Sorcerer, French Connection chase, To Live and Die in LA chase. I mean, it's all there, and so if there's one thing he can do, it's that. So even in his bad movies, if there's a car chase, just like scene selection, go to that and watch it, or like on YouTube, maybe they have them on YouTube or something. He has a lot of health problems in the 90s and going into the 2000s. A lot of, it just seemed like he was constantly like bedridden, just with like weird failures of his body. Kurt, do you remember his wife's name off the top?
Shelley Lansing,
who was a pretty big time, was a producer, no, just an executive.
No, she was a producer. Yeah.
A producer, okay.
Produced Crichton movies.
Yes. No, she made hits. Like she was the hit maker of the family. Like, and this might speak to his possibly being gay, because I feel like this is something a gay guy would do, like a scheming like gay guy would do. And I'm not saying he didn't love her; he stayed with her till the end. But it kind of seemed like Sherry Lansing, I married her in 1991, but it's kind of like I can just make my movies and not worry about if they make money or not, because she makes a bunch of money, which is based, in my opinion. So, and his movies from then on kind of show that that's the case. Like he kind of makes like small scale like play movies. He did just do operas for a while too. Didn't he do something with Woody Allen too?
No, I don't know about that.
I thought there was a play with like Woody Allen, like he like collaborated with like Woody Allen for like a play. So he said Woody Allen. He mentioned it in the things like Woody Allen is like the best director of all time.
Yeah, no, he does. Yeah, he does say that, which I love. He also compared cruising to Birth of a Nation at one point.
That's
so
crazy.
He's
for
not
gay guys or what? Like,
I don't know. He stands on the hill. Like he loves art. He doesn't care.
And every director likes Birth of a Nation. Every director, the wokest director, likes Birth of it. I mean, or is he at least use? It's a very influential. Was it D.W. Griffith? Was that the guy's name? Yeah. Like it's like, I mean, first off, they showed it on the White House lawn on a projector, which is crazy. And at the time,
last week too, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I saw on CNN the other day. But JD Vance did the Q&A at the end. It was great. But they people, it's like that, and Lenny Riefenstahl's like lighting techniques. All of like modern cinema is based off it, but everybody has to talk about them with like kid gloves on, or like a Homer Simpson Radioactive. Well, we can't ever praise them openly, but we'll just constantly use what they did. It's just like Nazi pharmaceuticals and everything too. It's just like everybody like, can't say these people didn't, do what they. You can't say the art that they made wasn't worth it, And Friedkin is a liberal. Like when you hear him speak, he is a liberal, especially when on the Brady Snell's podcast, he lives out hard on there. And but you can tell he's like he's way behind on his software updates, where he's still like, Birth of a Nation's great. It's great. It's the best. And I read Mein Kampf. It's awesome. Or like, he'll just be like old school, like kind of edgy liberal people used to be, where they would like actually seek out like taboo stuff rather than try to get it removed from collections and streaming services and stuff. But yeah, he was doing operas. I didn't really care that much about it, but he seemed very happy doing it. And it seemed like his operas were really successful for what they were. So it seemed like that was a good venture for him. But that brings us to our next film. Now, we've covered Bug on here with Jared Klickstein. It's a classic. I love it. I love it. It's the first Tracy Letts adaptation that he did, and Tracy Letts is a very very iconic playwright. And I haven't seen any of his actual plays, but I've seen the 2 Friedkin movies, so I have to think his plays are pretty damn good because both of those are great. And he Tracy Letts is also in Winning Time, the Lakers series. The Lakers. He plays Paul Westhead, the old coach that Magic Johnson gets fired. It's crazy. It's just like Tracy Letts, and he's really good in it too. I don't care for that show. Some people like it. We covered it on Back Wall, but it's not that good, but he's like really good in it. And so he, Friedkin does Bug, and Bug is kind of like released very small scale indie movie, because I think it's in 2006. And Michael Shannon, I didn't realize Michael Shannon was in the original play. That's what I learned from the autobiography. So he used him, and then Ashley Judd, because he Friedkin's really good at picking these like white trash chicks out for his films. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that? Like, it's just kind of like, damn, they got it like perfectly. And Bug is great. Like I said, definitely worth watching. I happen to think 2011's Killer Joe is better though. And let's talk about it. It is this one hasn't, I don't know. You go on Letterboxd, everybody loves it. And I'm just like, you guys fucking cry about every other movie that's like way less extreme than this. And maybe because there's no like racial violence in it. Or
was there a single black person in it? I don't remember. I don't
think so. No, I don't. I mean, what the fuck would they be doing around there? Like, with those? Yeah, true. Maybe doing some drugs or something. But incredible cast. Everybody's perfect in it. Gina Gershon shows up like just like bushed out in the first fucking scene. And with Emil, I know Emil Hirsch too. I will say this, man. A lot of people like Shia LaBeouf, but Emil Hirsch might be my Shia LaBeouf. He's a lot better at doing the like kind of trashy like guy. I don't know. I liked him during the time.
Was that before or after he went to jail?
I don't remember.
Must have been before.
And then Alpha, because I liked Alpha Dog, dude. Alpha Dog was sick. With Justin Timberlake.
I like Speed Racer with Emil Hirsch.
I didn't see that. It's good, right?
It's all right. It's pretty cool. I don't know.
I've heard it. I had heard
it's like nerd shit.
It's pretty good though. Like I liked
it's fun.
I liked Speed Racer.
Yeah. No, Emil Hirsch is just great in it.
Yeah. And Thomas Hayden Church, Sideways, love Sideways, one of my favorite movies of that time, and kind of the I think it's an Alexander Payne movie, but he is really good as like the white trash dad. He's kind of the ultimate comic relief of it. There's the classic scene. It says like, "Were you aware of this?" And he's like, "I'm never aware," and just his lines are so good in it.
My favorite of his was like, do us all a favor, just kill yourself. And he says it to his son.
Dude, it rules. I mean, the movie is, so there's a lot of reads that you can do on this movie. You can big brain it, you can small brain it. I think everyone's correct on it, and that's the beauty of Friedkin's movies. I think Tracy Letts play means a little bit more to him because he's from kind of like a white trash town like that. Kind of has Gen X lib vibe to him a little bit. Probably is. I would imagine I wouldn't love to see his social media presence if he has any. Probably won't go looking for it. He kind of has that like that Gen X style of like white trash, fucking white trash, just that. And then there's crosses all in the house. Like they're religious. They're not fucking religious, man. Like just, it kind of has that vibe to it, but you can big brain it, or small brain it, but it is funny. There's a lot of people that like, I think there's certain people the humor falls flat on them on, but
yeah, Matthew McConaughey for one.
He is so fucking funny in this, man. And it's it's anytime it gets too tense, there's always a joke. It is a true black comedy. Like it is, and Friedkin makes no qualms. He's like, it's a comedy. And he went over the script with Matthew McConaughey, who loved it, but he's like, dude, I'm like in like Interstellar right now, dude. Like I can't be like doing fucking
he didn't like the script at first. He hated it at first.
I thought he said he liked it, but it didn't had qualms about it. But then Friedkin's like, no, it's funny.
Yeah, no, he had to be told that it was funny.
Oh,
okay. He didn't get it. Like it went over his head. Like he was just doing like rom-coms at the time. Like this is like the launch to like the reconnaissance.
Wasn't True Detective around this time though?
Oh, that was a bit after. This is like
maybe I'm off on my time.
This is like around the time, I think it might have even been before Mud.
Oh,
like around
yeah.
that era.
Yeah, when did Interstellar maybe was like 2013 or 20. Yeah, okay. So maybe it was a little bit after that he really, the reconnaissance, like you said, like where he's just in everything but yeah, he's so good in it. And for me, there's a way to like kind of, like I said, kind of big brain it a little bit. It's obviously a family that is rotten to the core. Nobody's good. There's the great scenes with Juno Temple, the young girl who is essentially the Virgin Mary, for in a sense, and she's like kind of sheltered. Nobody seems to really be actively sheltering her, but she's doing it for like her own protection because she just kind of needs to get away from there. And it's a family that's trying to kill the mother, which who is remarried, but Gina Gershon, who's the new slutty stepmother, or the newer slutty stepmother, I should say, is in on it too for $50,000 split up like so many different ways. like
it's plus McConaughey's split.
Dude, when McConaughey's going over the math with her, it's so fucking funny. And she's like, or something. And he's like, no, not or something. Like he's like, I'm getting 25,000. You guys are like,
they didn't even know it was $100,000 too. They're like, wait, it's double what we thought.
I know, it sounds like 50K is like nothing. Dude.
Yeah, no, actually, I noticed that with all the William Friedkin movies, the monetary values for all the crime is like kind of low. It's kind of funny.
It's not about it because it's not about it. It's about like people getting lost in the sauce, and just kind of like rotten characters or characters that start out good but just like fall down like the rabbit hole of insanity or chasing thrills and stuff. But you look at this family like kind of like truly letting the devil in essentially. And there's a case you can make for Matthew McConaughey being Old Testament God and kind of just being like, let's get this out of here. You guys I'm smiting you guys. You could also make the case that he's the devil in this too. And where it's like, there's kind of like petty crime versus like true evil, right? Where Matthew McConaughey is just like, you never see him kill anybody except for, at the beginning, right? Like, or not. I mean, he doesn't really kill anybody in here, right? Who does he kill?
I mean, you don't see it, but I mean, he kills the mother.
Oh, so he does kill them, but I'm saying you don't outright see him doing like a lot of evil, like he's like what I mean is you don't see the actual thing. Yes, of course, the mother is the mother, but like he's kind of just existing as this like kind of this like result of so much evil happening, and he walks in and he just there's that scene where they're trying to like negotiate with him, and it's like, you don't negotiate with me, you're selling your soul to me, and it's kind of like a soul selling kind of situation. That's just the way I've looked at it. I don't even know if that's if it's being, the story's being told that way. Then you can also just look at it like it's hilarious, which is the best way to do it in my opinion. And just so many good lines. Like I said, it's masterfully acted. It has to be, because there's just not a whole lot going on. There's not really a score, there's a few like kind of like David Lynch, Angelo Badalamenti like guitar things happening in it, and that's about it. And I think there's that woman Juno Temple. She's great in it. I don't know if I've never seen her in anything else.
I don't think I have either.
No, but she's fantastic in it. Friedkin like really wanted to handpick her, like and apparently she had like apparently she's British, but really did the white trash accent really well. But it's an unhinged movie. I mean, you get the scene where Matthew McConaughey first kind of like introduces himself to her, where she's doing karate in the living room. There's all these like pedophilic, like they really go hard with like the pedophilic like stunted youth thing. Even though I'm like not sure how did they say how old she actually is?
She's 21.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's not like,
but she's like mentally
she's retarded. Like retarded. Yeah. And she's like doing karate in her parents' living room. She has like Justin Bieber pictures up on her wall. It was Justin Bieber, and then like I forget who the other one was. It was like somebody else from like another time period where it's like you were probably a kid during that one, and then you like still followed with like Justin Bieber because you're like kind of retarded. And it's like there's this like whole like taboo thing with it, but it's like not. really. It's just like it's actually like kind of good that Matthew McConaughey is coming to take her away. like in an extent, even though you could look at him as like evil incarnate, you know, or like the result of everybody's actions. But also it's like if she stays there, these people suck, man. They can't even do their evil correctly, but they just like are evil by default. I mean, like there's the scene of Gina Gershon making a pizza with just olives on it, and the guy was like, I said no olives, and then she's like, cool, lunch now. And it's like, I don't even want the olive pizza, like the only olive pizza, but like that's their lunch, and she just uses that to like scam. Like she's scamming at every level. She has pictures of her like sucking another guy's dick, and then that later comes into play when she has to Friedkin talks about, by the way, the rating system all through his autobiography, and his being at odds with it in certain ways. Cruising, I think there's like 15 minutes cut out of Cruising of just like hardcore gay shit. Like I don't know if we'll ever get that cut.
There's a new release for Cruising recently, like a new.
But that can't be in it. There's no way that's in it though. Maybe I feel like
they want me to double dip. If they want me to double dip,
Kurt, you might have to do some reconnaissance work, man.
Give me the gay porn. I'll double.
He said there was a man up to his neck in piss, like a piss pool, like you know what I mean. Like and
I just ordered it. No,
yeah, sold. Yeah, he with Killer Joe, yeah, I guess the chicken blowjob scene is like way longer. Like, and he's like, "Can you cut like some of that?" And and when I was rewatching it, I'd seen it a couple years ago, and then I rewatched it twice for this. I was like, "Fuck, it's still really long though." Like the scene, like she's like going ham on it too. Like it's kind of, and she calls it K fried C, by the way, which I thought was insane. She's like, "I bought some K fried C."
It's not like Kentucky Fried Chicken. They said in the commentary track. It's a different. It's like a more ghetto. Fried chicken brand, yeah,
great value, like the Walmart one, like
apparently it was Greta Gershon's, like that was the one she liked.
Oh god,
I mean she's the one that had to eat it, so I don't think she didn't really eat it.
She had to do more than eat it. I was gonna say, she is, and she just gets like the shit kicked out of her. And you know, I just kind of, and then you know, the reason I went with like the whole Virgin Mary thing is because she is pregnant at the end, the girl. So it is kind of like this kind of, it's not an immaculate conception, but if you view Matthew McConaughey as kind of this like supernatural deity, because the whole thing has this kind of like fever dream quality to it, where there's like slight surrealism in the conversation aspect and absurdism and stuff. So I like to think of it that way, but then also it's like, nah, she's just kind of just white trash, and that's just what happens. So but any other memorable parts? I feel like we're missing so much.
Yeah, the bike chase scene. There's another chase scene.
It's true. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, and it's like a low. It works so much better as like a bike chase scene. I love the horse, that like really depressing like horse racing gambling scene. Like it does not look like a fun place to gamble at all. It just like all three of us are you know, people who might gamble here and there. I don't think I have any plans ahead in there for a weekend.
Ponies.
Yeah. Where does this take place? He said it was Cincinnati, right? Or
no, this is Texas.
Texas.
Because I think Emil Hirsch. I know McConaughey is from Texas.
Oh, I just thought they filmed it somewhere else. I know the story takes. I thought that for some reason, whatever, it doesn't matter. It looked like it was kind of just one of those like shitty like nowhere towns where like all the industries are failing and stuff. And I like the Thomas Hayden Church scene where I think his name's like Asher or something, and he's asking for like, he has to ask his like girlfriend for beer money, and she starts telling him all this shit, and he's like, can I get my beer money though? Like, fuck, dude, like I'm just trying to drink some beers. Or the Emil Hirsch scene too at the beginning, where he first walks in and Gina Gershon's like naked in the house, and there he starts smoking weed, and he goes, what is this bullshit? He's like, I bought it from you. He's like, oh, that was that. I love that. Yeah, man. I mean, McConaughey, people just don't talk about this one in his filmography that much. Kind of gets skipped over. He's like you said, he's in those like Kate Hudson romantic comedies, and then we started seeing his Interstellar and True Detective and all of these things. But I think this is among his best. I mean, I think he's just a stone cold. He's stone cold in it. He's good looking, which helps. You know, like if he's an ugly guy, I don't think this movie works.
He picked out his own outfits too.
Yeah,
like Friedkin didn't have that idea at all. Like having him where He just wouldn't want him to wear all black, but I think the outfit is like it fits perfectly.
And I love that he like works for the Dallas Police Department, but like, do we have any proof of that?
Actually, when he was in the precinct, is that I don't even know if they still call it a precinct.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess
in the
so.
locker room.
I was trying to think. I was trying to like have some fun with it because I was just like, he just drives like a Dodge Charger around everywhere, and like you know, like it's. I was just like, is he really a cop? Because like, I mean, maybe he is, but it seemed kind of funny. And I love that line where he's like, yeah, well, you know, you have to understand, like, we were hoping we could not do the retainer because my mom has this huge life insurance policy. He's like, yeah, they all do. That's literally why anybody calls me to murder somebody. He's like, I need the money now, you idiot. And the big twist, of course, is that the new husband of the wife is the beneficiary. So they did all of that work for nothing. And the mom is found dead in the most depressing, I don't know what the restaurant is, but that parking lot where it's like, man, that sounds about right. But the mom we know is bad because the mom tried to smother her own retarded daughter with a pillow because she thought she'd be better than her, which is yikes. Yikes. But I love it. I love this movie. I liked it the first time. My wife and I were genuinely shocked because the whole time you're going, this is Matthew McConaughey doing this. That's like the whole, when you're watching this movie, you're like, I cannot believe Matthew McConaughey did this movie. And yeah, I don't know. I just, that's kind of the crazy part of it because you're like, it's crazy. And then you're like, he like orgasms kind of when she's sucking the chicken. It's crazy. Like it's crazy. And it's like, it would be less graphic if she was sucking his actual dick. Like literally, I feel like Brown Bunny scene, like Vincent Gallo, Chloe Sevigny scene, like that is like less graphic than like the chicken with like blood coming down her face and like her like making the weird noises with like, there's that meme of the person with like the dick in their mouth doing the thumbs up and crying, and that's like literally what she's doing. And it's just like, whew.
Yeah.
Killer Joe, man. I love it. What was your guys' favorite out of the three?
Killer Joe.
Damn.
Yeah, it might be To Live and Die in LA for me.
It's To Live and Die in LA. For me personally, I would say my top Friedkin, if I had to right now, it's tough to do. Sorcerer 1 for me. Cruising 2. Exorcist 3. To Live and Die in LA 4. But it has the most rewatchability. I will say that much. Not to do my Bill Simmons like subreddit thing, but it has the most. I think To Live and Die in LA is the most rewatchable Friedkin movie. You can watch it over and over again. Killer Joe's 5. French Connection 6. And then after that is everything else he's done. I think. I Cruising really, it made me kind of kick myself a little bit to not include this as the watch part, but that on a second viewing was like, wow, this is like expert, especially when the lore around it is kind of fun, especially knowing like what he was working with Pacino's antics and stuff was great. But well, any other thoughts on Friedkin? I mean, it's weird. You don't know a lot about him personally. That autobiography is literally just a life in film. It's not about his life. And it's very similar to Miles Davis, where he just skips over these like periods where you're like, hey, what happened though? Like in the year that you were with like kidney failure, like what was that all about? Anyways, I was on my next project. You're like, what happened? And it's part of, I love autobiographies because I like the lying. I was talking to my mom and she always hates when the autobiography is like kind of doctored by the person and is like a puff piece. But I like when I can tell where like lying is. It's like charming. Now, Cody and I are going to do the Polanski episode similar to this, and we're going to read his autobiography because I want to hear.
Had one.
Dude,
cool.
it is. I had to buy it off like Abe Books. It's a cool cover. It's a big red hardback, and it's just like Polanski on the front. I don't know if he's even addressing it, and maybe you couldn't talk much about it, but I love to be able to just be like, I love to see them like squirming a little bit to like talk about, or where they're lying can be revisionist. I find it charming a little bit. Whereas when somebody else is like writing it and they're like scathing and like being mad about you, it's like kind of this like titillating, like watching a gladiator get killed or something, and you're just like, I don't like that as much. I kind of like them being able to just like be an unreliable narrator in a sense. I kind of like that aspect of autobiographies. So we're going to make that a thing this year on RC, is kind of more autobiographies. And some biographies, like Psi and I are going to do Howard Hughes, which is going to be kind of fun. That's not an autobiography, but it's supposed to be a pretty good one. The Untold Story of Howard Hughes. Well, guys, anything else?
Yeah, I think if Friedkin has taught us anything, it's that you can just do things.
Yes.
You can just do them.
And if you run out of money, marry a fucking studio executive, and you'll never run out of money.
Oh, wait, actually, there was a cool story about from To Live and Die in LA that I wanted to add because I thought it was sick. It wasn't in the book. When they shot the scene in the airport, and William Peterson was just like running across like the rail.
Yeah.
Like they specifically told them, like when they were shooting at the airport, they specifically said, "Do not do that." And then Friedkin, like right before, he was like, he just pulled him aside and said, like, I'm going to have to yell at you after you do this, but you can do it. I'm going to tell them to roll, but I'm gonna yell at you after in front of them. Just make sure that you get it done on one shot. And they did it, and it was in the movie, and it was awesome.
I know, I love it. I love the guy who, you know, there's that other story from Sorcerer too that I love, where that guy, what was the guy's name? Charlie, the guy who was no, not this. I mean, remember the guy who put together the film collective?
Bloodhorn. Charles Bloodhorn. Yeah.
There's that scene where they're blowing up the tree in Sorcerer, and it's like a big day on set. But Friedkin's kind of like MIA in terms of, you know, they're shooting in the, you know, Central America or South America or whatever, and they're the studio's like, hey, what's taking so long? But he's like, can't hear you. It's we're in the jungle. It's really tough to talk right now. So like Charlie Bloodhorn takes like some girls and stuff and like helicopters in right when they're about to blow up the tree, and like he freaking has this guy for like explosives and is gonna like rig up, you know, all of the stuff. He's like, this is gonna be great. And the guy lands the helicopter and like knocks a bunch of shit over, and everyone's like, dude, we're just about to like blow some shit up. And the guy's like, all right, pretend I'm not here. Well, let me see it. I just wanted to see what our investment was looking like. The explosion like doesn't happen. It like fucks up. It's just like, it just doesn't work. Kind of poetic with how that movie is. And so then William Friedkin, I guess, knew a guy who used to like do like arson or like explosives and like controlled burns and stuff, or like, you know, arson and stuff and like explode. So he's like, he called this guy's house and was like, hey, can you like blow? I heard you can like blow some shit. He goes, oh, I don't do that. What? It's like, I don't blow stuff up. He's like, it's for a movie. He's like, oh, dude, I got you. Like, in that case, I know how to blow things up. And the dude just showed up with like aerosol cans and like spray cans and stuff and just put them all around that tree. And then they rigged it and blew it up. So it was like a dude just came in with like beauty products and blew up the tree, and they got the explosion of like the giant tree laying in the middle of the road. And all for naught, right? Because the movie bombs, but that's a great scene in the movie. And like, just it is crazy to think about all the persistence you have to have. And it is kind of a Friedkin-esque plot point, or at least a plot trajectory, if that's even a term, where you're trying your best to get one scene right, knowing that the movie's probably going to fail a little bit. And that's kind of what his protagonists are always doing. Is like, I might not survive this. In fact, I'm probably not going to, but I got to do this. And that's what being a man is a lot of times. That's why I don't really like when people just are like completely anti-nihilism, because the nihilism gives you an opportunity to just keep going. It's kind of like the end of Michel Houellebecq's Possibility of an Island. Is like, no, dude, just fucking float in the water and just keep going, dude. Like, what are you gonna do? Not do it, you know? And like, it's kind of what makes great men great. Is like in the presence of just absolute failure, the worst thing to do is to quit. And Friedkin didn't quit. I mean, he made a movie right before he died, right?
Yeah, the Kane. What was it called? The Kane.
It wasn't Mutiny? He remade the Kane Mutiny. I thought it was
Kane
something
Mutiny
else.
Trial.
Oh, okay.
The Kane Mutiny Court Martial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he also made a documentary of like actual exorcisms, which that one's also kind of crazy.
Damn, I want to see that. I should check that out. But yeah, I got a few more blind spots to fill in for Friedkin, but I do believe I do want to see Rampage. I feel like I'd like it. The way he was describing it was like, yeah, it's not that like amazing of a movie, but I feel like I'd really like a late 80s like twisted serial killer quasi documentary film. That sounds like something I want to check out. Don't watch Jade unless you agreed with Kurt this whole episode, then you'll probably like it. But um,
Shade. Hunted's also cool. Hunted's cool. Oh, we didn't talk about that one.
I haven't seen it.
Cool knife fights.
Okay, I will check out Hunted. What era is that? That's like 90s.
It might be even 2000.
Oh, that's 2000s. Tommy Lee Jones. That's the Tommy Lee Jones one, right?
He has like a funny story with him and Del Toro. What's his name? Benicio del Toro. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were so annoying. Not Del Toro was annoying. Tommy Lee Jones was like professional.
Tommy Lee Jones seems really cool, man. Tommy Lee Jones seems like a total bro. Like he's just like he loves like Cormac McCarthy and just like a lot of really good novels. And it is a shame that he's probably not going to be in any part of the whatever Blood Meridian movie comes out, whether that's good or bad or anything. But he should be, because he is like the Cormac guy. So I'm sure there's stuff we missed, guys. But to be honest, there's not a lot of personal life. That's why this episode's not as long as like, you know, some of the other ones, because we just don't know. I didn't learn a lot about his life at all. I learned a lot about his struggles getting movies made and watching a lot of them fail despite a couple massive successes. And we can only hope to be as lucky. All right, we can only hope to be as lucky. So watch all three of those. Highly recommend French Connection, To Live and Die in LA, and Killer Joe. Killer Joe, I believe, is free on Prime right now too.
I think that's the R-rated version. That's like cut, like not the one that because he ended up releasing that movie uncut, like without the NC-17. So I think that's the one that's on Prime. So if you see Bush at the start, then you're probably good to go. If not,
well I did.
Okay, then that's the one. Yeah, then you're good.
Yeah, because like we fucking answer the door like that. Yeah, exactly. So you do. So that is because it smacks you right in the fucking face. I mean. Amazing. Maybe y'all could, right? But yeah, it's just boom right in your face. But yeah, well, on that note, guys, you can follow. I don't know. I get Kurt. You're just on X, right?
Kurt Unchained.
Kurt Unchained. Like I said, Trump won the election and the Eagles won the Super Bowl. This might be the best year of Kurt's life right now.
This is my year. I've been telling people this is my year.
I mean, who am I to disagree?
It just gets better and better every day.
Better and better every day. RIP William Friedkin. You would have loved this episode, I think. Probably not. He probably would have talked a bunch of shit, but that's okay. That's what we'd want. I'd want him to fucking fire off on me, like, and just fucking, you know, hey, you don't know shit. You know, I would want that response from him. Because I don't know shit. So on that note, guys, everybody have a safe week. We will catch you guys